Hello, everybody. Pop culture curator here, and we're back with another Monday night, which means, or Monday day or morning, depending on where you're at, possibly even Tuesday morning. We're back with another Lost in Space review, and I am first thing I want to say is thank you for your patience. I know we're running a little late today. I had some visitors from the American Cancer Society, and they came at a half hour before the stream was supposed to start. And they were really nice. I didn't want to rush them too quickly. They were being very kind and they were offering their services, which I'm very appreciative of. And so they left, and then I had to take my dogs out. Without going into too much detail, I would probably already have, I guess. But I took my dogs out to go potty, and then I fed them. But it worked out just right. I know that a couple of people were running a little late as well, so hopefully it'll be the best for all of us. But the first thing I want to do is I want to say thank you so much for everybody in the chat for all the patience. I know some of you guys have been waiting for a half hour, and that really means a lot to me. And believe me, I'm going to make that up to you. I promise, the best I can. Hopefully, my voice will hold up tonight. I think it will. I'm feeling pretty good today. And first thing I want to do is I want to say hello to my fantastic, wonderful, good friends and fellow panelists. Gorilla Random Thoughts. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. As you can tell, I'm so ugly, I broke my camera.
I'll remember to use that next. I'll use that excuse next time for myself.
Yeah. No, for some reason, StreamYard has been very picky with my camera. They won't let me use my camera, so I have to use the OBS mirror camera thingy. But
can't
anyhow,
you just turn off camera permissions and then you don't need a camera?
I don't know how to
use an avatar.
Yeah.
Well, maybe after the stream today or tomorrow, whenever you can, Gorilla, maybe you and I can work on it and try to figure it out.
No, well, what happens if I put the other camera, even if I have it do with just the avatar? I can have the avatar with this here, but
there you go.
With the other, if I try to use the have it set to the HD and all that one there, it just says the devices cannot be connected because apparently something else is trying to use it. So I'm thinking I might have to run a virus scan or talk very nicely to Pickles there. But
have you tried shutting? Yeah, I'm sure you probably already have, but closing your browser and reopening it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyhow, I got one automatic F and the part of the episode that
only one.
So
no spoilers. No spoilers.
Yeah. So if you want to hear me kind of go off a little bit, stay tuned to the end of the episode.
All right. Let me know when we get there. And how are you doing tonight, Jill?
Goodness, I'm doing great this episode. It's fun.
Yeah, I know it's a little out of left field, but it's so good to see you, Jill. And I really enjoyed your stream last night and watching your kid play the Mario game.
Wait, thank you for showing up to. Yeah, I did. Last night I played The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
What time was that?
In the middle of the night, midnight.
Oh, that explained. No, explained.
It was Zelda. It was because I did see that one, but I was in bed. But I'm talking about yesterday. I guess it was when your son was playing Mario.
Oh yeah, he was playing Mario 64 on a different channel that I sort of don't use. I don't use the channel, so I'm basically going to give it to him at some point and see what he makes.
He sounds very bright.
Thank you.
So yeah, and it was great because I was relaxing and it gave me something to listen to. So I was there through most of the stream.
Yeah, and I figure giving him a channel, he'll be past my subscriber count in a few months because kids seem to have a better sense of these. Of everything.
They do. Yeah, they know what to do and they know what kids like. So yeah, especially if he gets up on TikTok, he's going to have millions of followers, I'm sure.
Ooh, no, I'm not letting him on TikTok. He has to make his way on YouTube.
I'm glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I don't really like it too much.
I was going to say, oh, hell no on that TikTok.
No, I'm hoping they ban it here in the U.S. They need to get rid of that. That is a horrible, corruptive program. No kids should have their hands on it.
Well, it's bad enough that Google gets all my information. I don't want the hell with the Chinese having my info.
Okay, and I wanted to address, obviously, like I said, we've had a lot of people waiting here for like for a half hour or more than a half hour. And I really want to thank you guys for your patience. It looks like we have Phantom Boomer here, who says howdy, Pop. So good to see you, Phantom Boomer, and hello to you as well. I'm glad you're here. Hope you're doing
Hello.
well, sir. And Lemon Pie, hello, Lemon Pie. Lemon Pie says no worries. It's so great when I see your names. It makes me
Yeah.
feel so much better and lifts my spirits. So
Yeah.
happy
Hey,
to see
Boomer.
you
Hey,
all.
Scurvy.
Hello, Mikey. Good to see you, Mikey.
Hey, Mikey.
Hi,
Mikey says
Mikey and
hello,
Lemon.
Lemon. Yes, Mikey says hello, Lemon and Phantom. And there's Gorilla saying we will start. Yes, Gorilla is helping me out here tonight because I was running late. So I really appreciate him doing that. And Lemon Pie says, hey, Phantom. And Lemon Pie says, hi, Pop. Hello, Lemon. Like I said, it's really good to see you all. And Mikey says, hey, Gorilla, be back then. Okay, this is before we started the stream. Lemon Pie says, yo, Gorilla. And hello, Mad Scientist. Good to see you.
Hey,
Um,
mad scientist.
Hi.
yeah, I'm glad you can make it, Mad Scientist. If you're still sticking around, I know I'm running about a half hour late. We're going to keep the panel to a minimum tonight because we're running late. Some people are running 2 hours or more later than I am. Like for me, it's 6:37 p.m. And I know for the other two panelists here, it's 8:37 p.m. So we're going to try to trim this one down tonight. So it's going to probably be, and I apologize ahead of time for it being a closed panel. Other than PvP, he might be coming along eventually. I haven't really heard from him, but I'm sure he'll probably be along soon. And Basil Battle Dragon, hello Basil, hello everyone says Basil, and cheers. And there's me. I don't know why I put that up there. It looks like I don't see stream elements yet. And Mikey says, hey Basil and Mad Scientist. And it looks like PvP, there he is, still watching episodes, so maybe a few minutes late. Totally fine, PvP. We'll be here when you are ready. And Mikey says, hello, PvP. Oops. I'm sure I get these in order. Don't want to skip anybody. Lemon Pie says, hello, all, or cheers, all, or applause, all. Something like that, I believe. Nemesis of Eden, hello. Good to see you, fellow panelist and YouTuber Nemesis. I'm so excited for tomorrow night. Nemesis of Eden says, Space Ghosts. Yeah, this episode feels like a Halloween episode. I don't know why, but that's my personal opinion. And Mikey Sue's Poor says, Jill was just doing Zelda. Now, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this right, but Ocarina of Time game? Is that right? Ocarina?
Close. Ocarina.
Ocarina. Thank you. Thank you, Mikey. And hello, Susanna. I hope you are doing well. In fact, that reminds me, I do want to pin, especially because I don't have a link. But Suzanne, give me a few minutes here because I was running late. And I'm going to drop a link in the chat and pin it to the top, everybody. Suzanne's in the link.
Lemon Pie already posted it if you want to pin that.
Oh, thank you. And I will. When I get to that, I will pin it to the top. Thank you, Lemon Pie, for being thoughtful. Everybody, Suzanne needs a little bit of help. Anything that anyone can give, please spread the word on social media, whatever platform you have, Facebook, Twitter. It doesn't matter, but any kind of help she needs. She's got a grandson she's got to take care of. So I understand what it's like to be in a bind. And I'd like to try to help her as best I can. And she's a very, very good friend. And Suzanne says, PvP, hello. And Suzanne says, Jill, hello. And Mikey says, hello, Miss X-Teen and Nemesis. Lemon Pie says, good for you, Jill. TikTok is a mess. Yes, I guys, we all agree on that. Suzanne says, Lemon Pie, hi.
You're right.
And Lemon Pie says, hi, Suzanne. Hey, Suzanne. Hello, Jim. Good to see you. Welcome. Glad you could be here. Jim's Landscape says, hello. And Nemesis Sabine says, hey, Mikey. And Lemon Pie says, Nemesis. Mikey says, hey, Jim. And Lemon Pie says, hey, Jim. Nemesis says, Lemon. And Suzanne says, Mikey, hello. Everybody's saying hello to each other. That's great. And Suzanne says, Phantom, hello. And Suzanne says, Gorilla, hello. And Nemesis Sabine says, hello, Pop, Gorilla, and Jill. Who are you guys going to call for Space Ghosts? Exactly, right? Uncle Thaddeus, I guess.
Oh yeah, that was
Margie,
funny.
yes, I agree. I'm always well. I know I'll be getting. We'll be talking about that when we get to our reviews, but this is one of my personal favorites. Mikey Suzpor says no Starlink in my area until early 2024. Scarborough. Check the GTA map and other providers. Good to hear. Well, sad to hear, Mikey, but I'm glad you're checking into that. That was a discussion that Mikey and I had yesterday. He's trying to see if he can get a better internet connection because I know that what he has right now, it's not very reliable in StreamYards, and it cuts out a lot for him. Poor guy. Lemon Pie says, "Help Suzanne if you can." There's the link, and I'm gonna let me pin that to the top. Hush up, Pooches. I don't need your opinions right now at this point. These things are moving so fast. I'm trying to see. I know I saw it a minute ago. There it is. Okay, let me pin that to the top. All right, so everybody, I pinned to the top a link to Suzanne's fund. Please help her out if you're able to. She's definitely a deserving person for it. Very modest and sweet. And Jim Landscape has a link for a video there. There's Stream Elements finally. And Suzanne says, "Well, guys, thanks so much." Suzanne, it is more than my pleasure. Any day at all. I found out that the YouTube community are the best people I know. So I will always eternally owe them my thanks. And Jim Landscape says, "Hail pop culture. Jill, Gorilla, Lemon Pie, Mikey, Susan, Suzanne." And Mikey says, "Nemesis of Eden, not Dr. Smith, LOL. Lemon Pie says, "Nemesis, Space Ghostbusters. Dun, 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 dun." And Suzanne says, if I can get this thing to move, a bunch of the others were watching Dillard stream. Okay, that's probably what Captain is. I think it's, was it not Captain? Captain Peter? Not Finity?
Peter not Finity.
Peter not Finity, currently. That's what his name is currently. I don't know if it's permanent or not.
And it's never permanent with him. Are you kidding?
The only thing I think it's common is the word captain, I guess, so far, right?
Right. Usually. So the Peter is a new thing.
That's a new one. I'm not sure what the reference is, but I'm sure I'll find out soon enough. All I have to do is ask him, and he's more than willing to explain it to us. And Nemsavine says, smiles at Mikey, or laughing at Mikey. And Nemsavine says, aha, lemon pie. And PvP says, hi, everyone. Sorry I'm late. Oh, you got you on the panel? Yes. Hello, PvP. You're on the panel. How are you doing?
Oh, actually, not too bad. Had a good day. Work went quite quickly today, which is always nice. Started my week with a shorter shift, so that's always good. So yeah, it was a pretty good day actually. Yeah.
Really, just in time.
Oh, well, good. I was hoping. Yes, Gorilla?
I got a phone to pick with you. Because of your wildfire, we're in an air quality alert.
You're on the other side of the continent. Yeah, but I'm in BC. You're on the other side of the continent.
Yeah, PvP. Why'd you start that fire?
I'm still easting
You'll be getting them. It'll be Ontario wildfires you'll be getting smoke from, not all the way from BC.
No, Ontario's east of us, east of me. I'm in the middle of the continent.
Oh, you're in the middle. Oh.
Yeah, I'm in Minnesota. Right smack in the middle.
Okay.
I am actually.
That's still got to be. That's still got to be at least 1,500 miles away, if not a couple thousand. Like, it's a long ways out to the coast here. Well, no, I'm not on the coast, but.
Yeah, I am 300 miles from the exact center of North America.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of forget my geography. I haven't looked at a map of the U.S. in some time, so.
Yeah.
But I kind of think it's more likely you might be getting smoke from like, maybe if there's out fires like in Alberta or Saskatchewan, that would seem like a lot closer to where you are than. And the thing is, we got the Rocky Mountains on the eastern side of our province here, and they're pretty darn tall. And they keep a lot of stuff, out. It's like a real barrier. So I don't know. I suppose it's not impossible, but I have my doubts that it's actually coming from here.
But
Actually,
either way, sorry you're dealing with the smoke.
actually,
Yeah.
no, yeah. Sorry, Gorilla. Sorry to hear
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I gotta give you crap because you're the only Canadian west of me right now that I
Okay.
know of.
Okay.
And they're saying they're saying it's from the Canadian wildfires. Well, I guess I
Well,
could blame Nemesis.
we got wildfires probably in a lot of spots across the country right now, actually, because it's that time of year, right? And actually, the smoke is actually pretty much non-existent here today. Like I went out earlier, to get a few things to the grocery store before I watched the Lost in Space stream, and I didn't smell any smoke, and the sky looks pretty clear here. So it seems like our local fires have kind of subsided in the last week or so. They're
Good.
not nearly as bad as, yeah. Oh, they were much worse 2 or 3 weeks ago, Pop. Yeah,
Does that mean
definitely.
they're going to be moving you back to the office or no?
I don't. I think that's a permanent thing. I think it's going to be a permanent shutdown.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that's good for you, huh? And it saves money
Oh,
for
it's
them because
great.
they're not paying for the insurance and not paying all the overhead. So that's
Yeah, and
good.
I can imagine what the rent must be. I bet it's not cheap either, right? Every
Right.
month to have a
Exactly.
business office. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I'm very happy actually to be working at home
Don't have to
because I,
commute, saves the gas on and the wear and tear on the car.
yeah, exactly. I can sleep in extra, an extra hour or whatever. I don't have to worry about getting up. I usually get up like 90 minutes, before work just to have time to eat and do the commute. So yeah, you're right. No, I probably save $1,000 a year on gas, wear and tear on the car. It's just win-win for me. Like I
Well,
can't think of any negatives, to be honest.
yeah, I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy
uh,
for you at PvP.
well, I'm happy that you're happy.
Happy that you're happy. Okay, we're all happy.
Hooray.
Lemon Pie says PvP hi.
Hey,
And
Lemon. Sorry I didn't say hi earlier. Hi, Mikey. Sorry, I didn't say hi
not,
earlier because I was watching the episode.
I'm glad you were able
I
to finish it.
Yeah, I forgot to watch it all last night. I don't know. I must have watched part of it and then I got doing something else and then I guess I dozed off and I forgot to finish it. So I thought, oh crap, I better get
I'm
that
glad I
done.
watched it last night because I got so busy today. So I'm glad I did watch it ahead of time.
Oh, excellent. That's good.
Nimzavine
Yeah,
says,
yeah.
hey, PvP.
Hey, Nemesis. Hey, Jim.
And Jim Landscape says, hail PvP. Nimzavine says, Minnesota.
Minnesota.
And Suzanne says, PvP Saskatchewan. What's that,
Hi,
Gorilla?
Suzanne.
I said Minnesota.
Minnesota. And Suzanne says, PvP Saskatchewan is starting up again.
That's where the smoke could be coming from, because Saskatchewan probably is pretty much closer to you, Gorilla.
Yeah, Mikey, Manitoba is straight north of me.
Manitoba fires
could affect Gorilla, maybe. That's a good point.
Yeah, that go over to Illinois and Indiana.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you, Mikey. Lemon Pie says that fire started when PB knocked over a candle reaching for his eggnog. Suzanne says, Nemesis, nice video earlier. Oh, really? I need to check that out. Sorry, Nemesis. I've been busy, but all day in appointments and visitors, but I will check that out, Nemesis, as soon as we're done with the stream tonight. Mikey, I'm guessing there is. I need to make sure that I have my alerts set to turn them on. Check your
gaming video, I'm guessing, Nemesis.
Yeah, let us know, Nemesis. Mikey says LOL at Lemon Pie. And Nemesis says, thank you, Suzanne. And Mikey says, Saskatchewan, right at Suzanne. And Nemesis says, you could blame me, Gorilla, if you really want to, LOL. Suzanne says, Mikey, close. It's about 3 hours from us. And Lemon Pie says, hello, Jill. And I want to say hello and welcome to Job. I hope you are doing well. Job says evening. Or else
hello, LDG.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey there, Pickles.
So good to see you. Glad you could join us
Man
tonight,
of many
LDG.
names.
And hello, Ola Greg. Great to see you, Ola Greg. And Ola Greg says, hey, everyone. And Ola Greg, if I don't have your name in the Stream Elements bot, please feel free to drop a link to your channel. I need to go through the Stream Element spot and update it because I'm sure there's people that come in here now that are not in the Stream Element spot. And there's probably people in there that don't come on here. So I need to go through and clean that up. It's kind of outdated. I apologize for that.
Same here on mine.
Yeah, it happens. We get busy. Nimbus Sabine says, I put up 30 videos of the bonus card. I hope I spelled this right. Bow, like bow or bow? Card show. Video quality is varying, LOL. And Ola Greg says, just lurking. Okay, that's cool, Ola Greg. I'm just glad you're here. Yeah. And Mike C4 says, go ahead.
Nemesis, I only seen like 4 of them there. And since they're all under a minute, you should have made them shorts there. You could have really gotten a lot of views on them.
Well, it's like my videos. I could trim some of them down or take excerpts from them maybe. Which I've been saying that to myself, and I need to do that.
It's fun to do, but it takes time.
That's just it. Yeah, it's taking the time to do it. And Mikey says, hello, Job and Ola Greg. Lemon Pie says, hi, LD Job. And Lemon Pie says, hey, Euler. And Suzanne says, Greg, hello. And Jim's Landscape says, hail, Ola Greg. Ola Greg says, hi again, everyone, and cheers. Yes, I say cheers, too. I wish I could toast you with an alcoholic beverage, but unfortunately I have to sustain from that right now, so I'm drinking a soda. Jim's Landscape says, hail, Job. Okay, let me mark that and hide it. Oops, let me hide that. And then we'll continue with the chat in a moment. I'm going to go ahead and start the introduction to tonight's episode, and then we'll be sharing the slides that wonderful Jill has worked so hard on and does a magnificent job on. Tonight we're going to be covering Lost in Space. We're on Season 1, Episode 19, Ghost in Space. And this episode originally aired on February 2nd, 1966. But as I mentioned earlier, it seemed like it would have been really fitting for Halloween, at least in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, good comment. I agree 100% there. Yeah.
Yes. And the description is as follows. Trying to contact his Uncle Thaddeus during a séance, Dr. Smith summons a ghostly monster native to the planet. And then we can read a little excerpt here from the Lost in Space, the authorized biography of a classic sci-fi series by Mark Cushman, which I highly recommend. This is the first season, and it's got a foreword by Bill Mooney, so I highly recommend the book. It's very thick, but very detailed, and got a lot of behind-the-scenes info as well as pictures. There's a book for each season, and I will be, as long as I can, cover Lost in Space. I will get a book for each season that we cover. So from the description here, the assessment, Ghost in Space would have made an average second season episode as part of the first season, and while entertaining, entertaining and have plenty of spirit, it is below standard. Remember, this is not my opinion. This is the author.
It is mine, though.
It is yours?
Yeah.
Ghost has many things going.
Jill's giving away a rating already.
That's okay. That's okay. I kind of gave away mine too, so that's fine. Ghost has many things going for it that were typical the first season. Gene Polito's excellent black and white photography, with the night scenes especially effective in this alleged ghost tale. A score that includes selected music tracks by Bernard Herrmann taken from The Day the Earth Stood Still. Specifically, yes, you'll notice when you watch this episode, when you hear the instrument, the theremin, that's straight out of The Day the Earth Stood Still. And a script that, while favoring Smith and Will, nonetheless provides plenty of on-screen business for all the recurring characters. One area where this episode gets off track is in story continuity. I don't want to go too much into that because that's going to be spoilers if you haven't got to that point. But it's going to talk about the invisible creature, which is reminiscent or similar to, if any of you have seen Forbidden Planet. It kind of reminds me of that. And some of the effects are also similar.
Very much so, yeah.
The script was originally written by Peter Packer. Tony Wilson did some polishing on the script with 3 revisions total. So we have the original Peter Packer script. Peter Packer did a first and second draft. I want to be clear on that. And then Wilson did a third, fourth, and fifth draft to fine tune it.
That's a lot
Peter
of
Packer,
drafts, I gotta say.
it was, but not a lot of writers. You'll notice that's what's
No,
good about
no,
it. It's not
no.
like now, right? There's 15 writers in a room and only half of them are actually doing anything.
Yeah. I do have to wonder though, Pop, just want to interject for a second here. If Packer's script, it must have been a pretty rough original, first draft to have to be polished like 5 times or whatever, right? Like that sounds like it must have been a difficult one to iron everything out, so to speak.
Very possible. His first treatment was on December of 1965. Um, his first and second draft was done in December of 65.
Mm.
Tony Wilson's first polish was January 7th of 66. Page revision by Tony on January 11th. I mean, this book is very detailed. Additional revision on January 12th, 13th, and the 20th. And it says Peter Packer was already on his 5th Lost in Space assignment. His association with the series began on a good note with The Derelict, which Packer wrote in May and June of 1965. He continued strong with Welcome Stranger, written from late June to mid-July. For his third script, The Oasis, written in August and September, Packer had mixed results. The assignment he labored over in October, his script for Sorry, Wrong Planet, was dead on delivery, and the assignment was cut off. Packer was back in good form during late October and the first half of November, writing the excellent Return from Outer Space, which we covered a few weeks ago, script. In late November and early December, he wrote the atrocious Monsters Web episode of Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. With this script, written during the last 3 weeks of December, Packer was again aiming low. But Irwin Allen and Tony Wilson loved it, and this episode served as a template for many scripts to follow during the second season. The writing is not bad per se, but the structure of the story is flawed, and too many things are left unexplained. Yeah, I guess I could agree with that. With this story, there was a new ingredient in the character known as Dr. Zachary Smith, his belief in the occult. Also, a glimpse into the rotten fruit on his shaky family tree. In an amusing passage of dialogue, Smith tells the Robinsons and Major West, I was afraid Uncle Thaddeus wouldn't like it here. He was always a hot-tempered man in life, always throwing things around when something didn't please him. Nice as pie on the surface, but very pugnacious underneath. Iron hand and a velvet glove. Tonight he was all iron hand. Irwin Allen sent notes on Packer's second and final draft script to Wilson on December 28, 1965, saying, and I will cover that because this is basically getting into details like I've done in previous streams where Irwin Allen sent in notes on changes of the script. And I will cover those when we get to those scenes so that they not only are not spoilers, but they make more sense for anybody who has not seen this lately.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, yes. So, and that's also enough delays. Let me go ahead and share. I think Jill stepped away for a moment, but I'm going to go ahead and add her slides. And
Yeah,
we'll do a recap.
she mentioned in private chat she's taking care of her daughter. Her daughter needed something. So
Yeah. All right, so
Right.
let's catch up with that then real quick.
Thank you, Gorilla. I appreciate that.
All right. Nemesis says, I could definitely turn them all into shorts. Took a while just to do a mass upload. That's why you don't do more than 3 at a time there. But I will definitely have done them as short. Yeah, if I have a video, if anything, if it's going to be under a minute, I just do it as a short. That way it does better promotion for your channel and stuff. Then Suzanne says, Pop, you sound full of energy today.
Oh, I do. I feel good. I took a nice walk, and I'm trying to stay as active as possible. Thank you, Suzanne. I'm going to be going through a lot of therapy this week, but I'm going to try to sustain my energy throughout. I'm hoping I can do all 3 streams this week. I'm excited for tomorrow night for Night of the Living Dead, which is one of my absolute top favorite movies. And then I'm also excited that Gorilla and I are back to doing Gilligan's Island on Wednesdays. So thank you.
yeah, I voted for the Night of the Living Dead the other day.
Well, I'm not allowed to vote, but I'm not allowed to vote. But if I would have, it would have been Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah, I just thought, yeah, that's a good one, and it's such a classic. The others, there's some other good choices too, but that was the one that just kind of edged the other ones out for me. So I went for that one.
I can't remember
Very
what
cool.
I voted for.
Well, I figure
So,
due to suggestions from people in the chat, on the panel, and in my community tab, any movie that has a sequels or a series of movies, I'm going to go ahead and start from the original and go from there. So that's the reason why I put the original The Fly, the original Blob, and original Night of the Living Dead on the poll. So we're going to go in order, sequence of the way the movies were made. So that's the reason why everybody's wondering why there's three, I guess you could say, classic or older movies. Because like Night of the Living Dead, I want to start with the first one, and then eventually we'll vote on Dawn of the Dead and so on. And then, like with The Fly, we'll eventually do the remake, or we may do Return of the Fly and then the remake. And then, of course, we'll cover the Blob remake from 1988, which is also a fantastic movie. Sorry,
Yeah,
go ahead, Gorilla.
Oh, yeah,
all right.
ahead.
Mikey says, yeah, Suzanne, Lost in Space energizes pop culture's brainstem.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah. And Boomer says, howdy, Suzanne, scurvy, Mikey. Damn it, Jim. I'm a doctor, not a insert whatever here. Ray, Osmo, PvP, and Nemesis. The Phantom Boomer says, Jill, Gorilla, Pop. And I'm a PvP. Then Mikey says the theremin.
Sorry about that.
Someone sawing a tree?
Well, I gotta get rid of these branches somehow.
Good one, Jill. Good one, Jill.
Yes.
Mikey says the theremin. The theremin is an electrical instrument controlled without physical contact by a performer. It is named after its inventor, Leon Theremin, and used in many spooky TV films.
Yeah, it's a lost art. They don't use it anymore these days, but it was really, really big back during the sci-fi horror movies of the 50s and 60s and so on.
Yeah,
you can buy one on Amazon, by the way.
Oh, really? Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, they sell little ones on Amazon. They're not that expensive.
It's a very cool instrument. Actually, I always love the sound of the theremin. It's just it's otherworldly, isn't it? Basically.
Yeah, but it's interesting. It's not like playing the piano. You could put the theremin in front of anybody and they could play it.
I imagine with a better practice, it wouldn't take all that long to figure it out.
Yeah. Nope. Yeah, it's all operated on hand gestures.
Yeah, it's a fascinating instrument.
Yeah, and Jim wants to throw some hail at the Phantom Boomer Explorers. Same with Mikey. He wants to throw some hail at Phantom Boomer. There. Here's them. Here's them on Savedian's channel. He's just uploaded a bunch of car stuff there. And Scurvy said, hi, Phantom Do Explore stuff. Lemon Pie and Kronos would get along really good. And Suzanne XT says, Phantom, hello. All right, we're all caught up.
What a wonderful group. I'm so glad to see you all. Yeah. So here we are with our recap from last week, where Professor Robinson, apparently there's a bog with poisonous gas, and he's making sure that he posts a sign that clearly says for everyone to stay away, and he includes his name on it in case anybody's wondering. If there's any aliens that read English or anybody wanders by, they know that it's Professor Robinson that posted the sign. And unfortunately, while he's pounding it into the ground, it released some of the gas, which overwhelms him, knocks him out, and he passes out on the ground.
Yeah, a bit ironic.
Yeah,
the safety sign knocked him out.
Right, the safety sign, right.
Yeah, it didn't exactly serve its purpose very well in that scene.
Well, of all people, he should have known, right?
Exactly. That was kind of hilarious, actually, I thought. That made me chuckle when I watched that scene. It's like, oh, brother.
And not too far. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No. It's nothing big. I was just going to, make a little comment, but.
Go ahead. It's fine.
Okay. It made me realize, even before I saw the credits, when I saw that scene, I'm thinking, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a Peter Packer episode.
I know.
Just, you got it.
Yeah, and as we go through the series, his episodes will become more and more obvious. Remember now, everybody, for those of you, for those in the know, like PvP and myself, and anybody who's seen Lost in Space before, remember Peter Packer wrote the infamous The Great Vegetable Rebellion. So believe me, that word, but that title rings very clear for many Lost in Space fans, as well as the cast and crew.
Oh yeah, that's a
I
classic.
do hear legends of it.
It's so bad. It's great. It's
And
like
it's got the.
go ahead, Bob.
Well, I was just gonna say it's got the wonderful Stanley Adams, who I absolutely love, who is Cyrano Jones from Star Trek.
Yeah, he's great, and he's absolutely great in the episode too. I just want to say that it's the Great Vegetable Rebellion makes Spock's brain look like Shakespeare, basically. It's that bad.
But what's funny is
fun. It's fun though.
Right, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Because it is Lost in Space, there are going to be bad episodes, but they're still entertaining and they're still funny. So it's not like bad, boring bad, or bad like modern day writing bad.
No, it can be just like crazy, insane bad.
Yes. So not too far away from where Professor Robinson was overcame by the poisonous gas, we have Dr. Smith, Will, and Dawn toiling around and wondering where is actually Dawn's wondering why Dr. Smith is not doing much work, and once again Dr. Smith has excuse after excuse, and of course his work once again he brings up his delicate back, so he's not able to do anything at all, and they start to wonder that what's taken Professor Robinson so long. All he was supposed to do was set the sign and then leave. So we're going to have where Will decides that he's going to go check it out and see what's going on. And he sees that his dad has passed out and he yells for help. And Dawn runs in and grabs him and pulls him away from the gases. And there we have, they're panicking at first, but he's able to revive him. And he's able to breathe the fresh air and he says that he's fine. And then they take him back to the chariot. And even it's funny because he does self-reflect. He says, Professor Robinson says, I guess I forgot to read that sign, which is funny because that's a sign that has his name on it.
And that's the sign he wrote, so he really shouldn't have needed to read it, right?
Exactly. So I'm glad he kind of, right, a little pun in himself. I like that.
PvP, do you read everything that you write down on the big old board that's a warning?
Well, I never write big old warning signs, though, because I have no reason to. I was thinking, though, maybe Professor Robinson's comment about I should have read the sign was maybe he was still kind of like half out of it from the gas effects, right?
That's possible. Still could have been a little drowsy.
So that could explain why he might have said that line. Just my guess, but.
Very possible.
And no, he was definitely making a joke.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. Too. I mean, it really doesn't really matter that much. Either way is good.
And here we have where you would think they'd learned their lesson by now, but Professor.
Exactly.
Oops, I apologize.
Yeah, I kind of almost groaned out loud in pain when I saw that Professor Robinson.
I know they want him to be responsible, but.
He never will be.
Giving him explosive devices. What?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like giving him a laser rifle. It's like, what are you thinking?
Well,
Smith always screws everything up. Like, never give Smith anything important jobs to do. Just make it a rule.
Hey, I'm just telling you right now, they must have had. If I was on that planet with them and I didn't have any meat to eat, Dr. Smith would have had an accident, and I'd be like the orc going, "Meat's back on the menu, boys."
Oh yeah, but it was family hours, so that would have been quite unlikely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and plus there are plenty of random aliens living underground on this planet. You just have to dig one up.
Uh-oh.
Yep, you never know, right? They're just down there waiting.
I'm not eating the bugs and living in the pot. I'll tell you that right now.
Personally, I don't think I'd ever want to eat the alien in tonight's episode.
No, I don't think so.
Not exactly appealing.
So, unfortunately, Professor Robinson gives Dr. Smith a very important job to do by giving him some dynamite and having him set it off in a certain location within the bog. And he gives him instructions on pulling the pin. So I guess it works similar to a grenade. And there goes Dr. Smith. And Dr. Smith, once again, does not go to the location to throw the bomb where it's supposed to. He just stops halfway, decides to pull the pin, and just throw it into the bog.
Yeah. Do you think they sent him through there so that past that ionized gas just because they hoped that it would knock him out?
Well, you notice that when he went back through, it didn't seem to be there anymore, and he passed right by the sign.
And I think in reality, ionized gas is not really dangerous.
Yeah, ionized doesn't sound good because don't they sell ionizers for your house that'll ionize the air? That's what put That's what put Sharper Image out of business. Is their ionizers. If anybody's old remembers the old Sharper Image company. So the explosion. Go ahead.
I got to read these chats because there's one. There's one here that's really good, but let's catch up on them anyhow.
Thank you, Gorilla.
Scurvy here says, I know Kronos, we do get along. That's good. You, Kronos, and Snort all in the chat. That chat would be off the walls there. I guarantee you they'd be like little Laura there when he was laughing for half an hour straight on something. Yeah, wow. Seriously, half an hour of him just laughing.
That sounds good.
Mikey says, Lemon and Kronos equals Abbott and Costello laughing my ass off.
Wow.
And Mikey says, the Great Vegetable Rebellion equals Lost in Space legendary urban TV legend. Ha.
That's right.
Mikey says, Don and Dr. Smith love-hate relationship. There's absolutely no love in there. It's just a hate relationship. Still a classic argument for knowing who our true friends and enemies are, LOL. And Scurvy says he doesn't look like much of a meal. And Scurvy here put in the link to Phantom Boomer Explores' channel.
Thank you.
And Mikey says, Gorilla, Dr. Smith Charboiled would be like a spoiled filet mignon. You gotta go with the old flank steak. Don't even put filet mignon in the same sense as charboiled.
Filet mignon.
It's a chuck roast that's been sitting out in the sun too long.
I know what it is. I know. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Actually, I think Smith would probably taste like an old dried up chicken. Actually.
Dehydrated.
Yeah, because he kind of reminds me of a desiccated chicken a lot of times.
Left in the oven about 2 months too long.
Yeah, something like that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, Joe says, I thought Sharper Image was out of business.
It is. What happened was they sold an air ionizer, which was like it stood up. It was a vertical device that was shaped like a rectangle. And what it was supposed to do was clean, filter, and ionize the air in your house. But unfortunately, what happened was Consumer Reports, which is a fantastic company, and I highly recommend them, they test all sorts of items, and they give you the honest-to-God truth, non-biased, on the good and the bad of automobiles, household items. I mean, you name it, they've been around for decades. And what they did was they tested the Sharper Image air ionizers, I believe is what they were called. And here's what they did, is they hung them from ceiling fans. Imagine they had a room with ceiling fans, and they hung one from each blade. Because first they set them in the room, and then they tested them, and they got no change in the atmosphere of the room. So they said, okay, to amp it up, they tied them to ceiling fans, one on each blade, and then would spin the fans around to see if that would help. And then they determined once again they made no effect. They did not help at all. So when Consumer Reports rated them, I don't remember exactly the rating system, but it was essentially an F or a bad grade. And what happened was Sharper Image was upset because that was their biggest selling item at the time. By the way, Sharper Image used to sell a lot of gadgets, kind of like James Bond stuff.
Huh.
But that was their biggest selling item, and they were really pushing it. There was a lot of infomercials on TV around it at the time. So when Consumer Reports came out with a bad report, Sharper Image raised a big stink and a lawsuit. But they found out the hard way. You don't try to go against Consumer Reports. And they lost the battle. And then due to them raising the argument with Consumer Reports that brought it to light and brought it to the public's attention. The public realized what was going on, found out that it was phony, and that's what drove Sharper Image out of business. Was that one item?
Yeah, very dumb move on Sharper Image's part to press for a lawsuit. If they just kept their mouths shut, they might have been okay, right?
They should have just kept their mouth shut and stopped selling it and stopped pushing the infomercials. But it was their biggest seller.
Yeah.
Because most of them were niche.
They should have got a product that actually worked. That's the problem.
Well, they had other things they sold. They even had stores. They had a couple in the Bay Area. They had one in San Francisco. They had some bigger cities. Yeah, you can go in. Okay. They had miniature cameras. They had a flying boat at one point. Really a lot of cool gadgets. Yeah. 10,000, I remember. It looked like a boat with it looked like it had a hang glider on top of it, but it had where you could take off, and if you're on a lake, you could take off and fly over a mountain and land on the lake on the other side.
Wow, that sounds like a very strange company.
It was similar. There's another company out there that's much more expensive called Hammaker Slimmer. I don't know if any of you ever heard of that, but if you look at it, that's like the totally rich people.
I have like
a bunch of really cool rich gadgets. So it was kind of like the working man's Hammaker Slimmer. Okay. Sorry to get off topic there, but
it's not really off topic at all, because I was wondering why I was reading that ionized gas is okay, but that's only if it's naturally occurring. It's a problem when it's not, when the negative ions are not naturally occurring and created through electric discharge. And when you do that, whatever is making it gives off ozone, and at this level of our atmosphere, ozone is dangerous.
Oh, gotcha. Thank you.
All right. Scurvy says, "What's a Kronos?" My homage to Kronos. Kronos would be proud of you, Scurvy.
Kronos is wonderful.
And the Phantom Boomer here says, "People taste like pork." I do not even want to know how you know that. I do not. I'm asking no questions. It's your own business how you know it. I do not want to know how you know that. That's your own business.
I actually always wondered where they came up with that idea, because how would you test it out? Like, that's kind of scary, to be honest. But I have heard that many times that people do indeed taste like pork. But how would you know? Like, yuck.
Well, because they found out from the cannibals. They found it from the Donner Party and other survivors. So it's from the people that actually did it.
Yeah, I guess there were primitive tribes that were cannibalistic too, right? So they might have.
Well, there still are.
Well, I was going to say that their food expert that they had in store was Jeffrey Dahmer.
There you go.
Right.
Mikey says the Phantom Boomer explores everything tastes like chicken. LOL. And Scurvy says the big thing at one time was Sharper Image was a massage chair.
Yes, cool. They had a massage chair. In fact, they had some of them in malls where you can go and drop in a couple quarters and get massaged. Good point, Lemon Pie. I wanted to bring up this too. This was what I mentioned earlier about notes from Earl and Allen about this. This is regarding the teaser that we just watched. So I wanted to cover the teaser, which we just did. And then now that we're getting in the episode, I want to cover this really quick. This was Erwin Allen sent note to Packers' second and final drifts. Excuse me, getting ahead of myself. Erwin Allen sent notes on Packers' second and final draft script to Wilson on December 28, 1965, saying the following. The teaser, page 6, scene 24. A lot of this dialogue should be cut as it is too talky and makes the teaser too long. Having Will serve coffee is unnecessary, and Smith's attitude towards his task should be changed. Also, some of Don's sarcasm towards Smith should be cut, as it is beginning to get boring and makes Don seem like a very petty person. Smith should resent this task from the beginning because he feels that they are wasting their time drilling in the area. This would help explain why he doesn't carry through with setting the charge in the proper place, and why he doesn't want Will with him. He should try to dissuade Will from accompanying him, but when he can't, they should start out as they do. But when Will suggests going by way of the bog, Smith should remind him of what happened to his father that morning. Will would then say that he knows the safe way through it, and this is what gives Smith the idea that this would be a good spot to dump the charge. Smith should find a stronger reason for sending Will back to the drill site than his concern for his health, which seems phony. He could send him back with a message of some sort for his father, which would be logical and not arouse suspicion. This would cut down on some of the talkiness in scene 30. So that is basically why we got a short teaser instead of a long teaser like we've gotten in some of the last couple previous episodes.
So those were Irwin Allen's notes to the script writers then.
Yes, to Tony Wilson, who was polishing the script at the time.
You know,
So
Irwin Allen
go ahead.
has this reputation as being kind of a weird dude and kind of difficult to work with, but I gotta say, I find those comments very highly focused and intelligent and right to the point. And it's no wonder he was such a successful producer of so many shows, because it obviously shows that the man could actually, really think through, read a script and really think through what needed to be, trimmed and what was actually working and not working. And I'm quite impressed by those comments, to be honest, Bob.
I agree too. I think so too, because from what that is what we would have gotten without his notes. It would have been a much longer and talkier scene, which I don't think would have worked as well either. And
Well, I mean,
then
having
ahead.
Smith make coffee, it's like, why does he need to make coffee?
Will was going to offer coffee.
Oh, okay. I got it mixed up.
All right, Will was going to offer coffee, and I guess Smith did have a different agenda, but right, it was Alan's idea to change Smith's motives, and also the way Don approached it, which I thought the way it was written as it is, as we see, I thought it's much better. It's more concise, and I think it's kind of funny, the interaction between Don and Dr. Smith in that scene.
I think it was a good idea too to make Don, not seem petty, because you don't want to have one of your, heroic characters come across as too petty, right? So it totally makes sense.
Right, keep it subtle. Less is more, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so now we have our opening scene written by Peter Packer, as we know we've covered over and over. Sorry about that, Don, and directed by wonderful Don Richardson. And we now see it's later that evening, and most of this episode, as you're going to notice, seems to take place at nighttime.
They mostly come out at night.
They mostly come out at night, right? And here we get this is our second look at their laundry machine, I guess you could say. So the first time we saw it, in one of the first few episodes, they were using it, I should say, Maureen Robinson was using it to wash and dry laundry, which came out in packages. But now she's using it to produce new clothing. So from this point on, we're going to get a different change of costume for the Robinson family as well as Dr. Smith.
We're kind of moving towards the season two costumes, aren't we, Pop, at this point?
That's exactly what it is, because they were given the green light for season 2. Right. And they know that it's going to be in color. That's the reason why they're changing their outfits, to prepare us.
Right. Yeah, because the season 2 outfits were quite colorful. For sure.
And Dr. Smith is dissatisfied, of course, with the way his fits, because he feels that he's a much more muscular man, and they should highlight his shoulders and his muscles and everything else.
Yeah, and of course, was pretty funny.
It's hilarious, right?
I love that. Love that. It was great.
And Maureen and Penny are looking at each other, and they're trying not to laugh, which is great.
No, I got an issue with this. You think with someone who is supposed to be intellectually smart, but really is a dumbass, but that's a whole different song, who would mess around with the Ouija board, which, hey, put a 1 in the chat if you messed around with the Ouija board. I have.
I probably did.
No, I haven't.
I did as a kid.
Never had the pleasure.
I did as a kid, but I never found it that interesting, to be honest.
I did.
I could tell my mom. I could tell my mom was moving the thing on me.
Yeah, that's it. It seemed like when I play it with my friends, they'd always just be moving the thing around, and it was like, yeah, whatever, I never felt any presence.
Some people take it very, very seriously. Some people actually do believe in it. And I have to remind them, look, it's a Parker Brothers game. I mean, it's like Monopoly. Take it about as seriously as you do Monopoly.
Yeah.
Well, I was taking it seriously.
Monopoly can be very serious.
Well, yes, it can.
I've won every
But it's
game.
not real.
I've won every game, and I'm pretty sure like 6 of them were because someone flipped the table on me. So they got mad at me. But, I've won every game of Monopoly I've played. I've won, but
Poor sports.
but I was taking the Ouija board seriously until the Ouija board told me to give $20 to my mom.
I will give credit where credit is due. The Ouija board has actually been around a long time. Honestly, I can't remember if it's Parker Brothers or Milton Bradley that owns it, but it's been around for actually a couple hundred years at least, and it was just in recent history that they purchased the rights to it. So that's the reason why that it has the myth and the following that it does.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, I think I got to. I think we're coming up on a Walton's episode that uses the Ouija board one time, or did we have that one already? We might have had that one already. That they used a Ouija board in that one.
Yeah, I missed last week's Waltons because I was working on that last Friday there, Gorilla. But what's the episode coming up? Do you remember the title at all? Because
I'll get to you. I'll put it in the chat.
Sure, that'd be great. Thank you.
All right, let's continue.
So here we have them working on. Dr. Smith was very adamant that he had to have, I believe he said crimson ink, or he wanted a red ink. And so he was asking around everybody. And Don finally volunteered that he had a marker that was lead red. And Dr. Smith didn't think it was appropriate, but it was acceptable because it was all he had. So now we show him drawing the Ouija board and putting that together.
I love how Smith starts bragging about his artistic skills here too in this scene, right? As he's drawing the Ouija board up, it's like, oh, my artistic skills. And it's like, yep, that sounds like Smith, all right. You know?
Of course, always thinking about himself.
And
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, welcome, Peter. Not Finity.
Peter, not Finity. Welcome. Good to see you. Glad you could join us. Hope you're doing well, sir.
Hello, Pete.
And another thing I like about this scene too is Don keeps poking jabs at him and making fun of this throughout the scene, which I thought was rather funny. And Dr. Smith is trying to be over serious. The kids really don't know what to think of it, and the mother explains, and even Will understands that it's not really real. But Penny seems to be a little more susceptible, so Dr. Smith seems to be focusing on that.
Well, say like give him the benefit of the doubt or something like that.
Yes. But what I thought about this, and this is reflecting on last week's episode, was Penny didn't get much dialogue or scene time in last week's episode. So I'm glad they made up for that in this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this scene because Penny's, since the, My Friend Mr. Nobody episode, she's been in the background in a lot of episodes where she hardly gets any lines or any screen time. So it's kind of nice to see her, interacting, in this, getting to show off her acting skills, interacting with Smith. And this was a fun scene. I really liked this scene. It was pretty cool. Like the special effects were very, that's one thing I liked about this episode. The special effects I thought were quite interesting and well done.
As a kid, I loved this episode. I remember I was very young when I first saw it. It was actually, embarrassing to say now, but I was frightened. And that's why I said it reminds me of a Halloween episode.
It's like when the board floats away from them. I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. I was not.
Well, and the glass shattering, right? The glass shattering was a good effect.
Definitely.
So yeah, because basically that's what happened is they were reading the Ouija board. The glass shattered. Then the Ouija board hovered up in the air and kind of spun around and then took off. They didn't show it on camera, but Dr. Smith explains that the Ouija board smashed against a rock and broke into pieces.
Oh, okay.
And that was where him and Penny rushed back to the Jupiter 2 and explained that to the rest of the Robinsons. And of course, they don't seem to believe them, especially Don. And Will is adamant that it is Uncle Thaddeus must have came back.
Yeah. Would you?
No.
No, yeah, right. I mean, even if they're not even on Earth, why would his uncle be haunting another planet?
Right, I was waiting for that too. I was waiting for Don to say that. What would Uncle Thaddeus be doing here, right?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
One stowaway was enough. Right, one stowaway was enough.
Yeah, it's like when Smith started going on and on about his Uncle Thaddeus's ghost or whatever the heck, his spirit or whatever. I'm thinking Smith has totally gone nuts in this episode. Like
Yeah,
he's finally gone.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly, Jill. He's finally gone over the top. He's totally lost his what little mind that he ever possessed. And I just, well, actually, I kind of probably laughed pretty hard, when he went on about Uncle Thaddeus, because it was like, this is totally ridiculous. Like, this guy's insane. Smith, this was the first episode where Smith totally seemed to lose his marbles in some scenes, I gotta say.
Well, okay, this is going to be kind of out of left field, but it's almost like the writers, and I'm talking about the different writers,
Right.
they seem to change his character based on the crazy uncle. You have one uncle that comes over that believes in the occult. You have another uncle that comes over and has another personality, and another uncle that comes over and has another personality. And Smith seems to be wrapped up in all of that.
Yeah, I mean, Smith never, there was never indication that Smith thought anything had any thoughts to do with the occult in the previous episodes of the season so far. So why he suddenly seems to become totally fascinated with occultism, I actually found that was probably the weakest part of the episode for me, because it really didn't make any sense in the context of the previous episodes. So yeah, I guess it was maybe to move the story, but it just did seem kind of silly, to be honest.
Well, of course, now that's another reason why we had 5 script treatments, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah, good old Big Peter.
I have another note here from Irwin Allen regarding this scene. Page 23, scene 61. All should be dressed in night clothes, especially Smith in his night shirt, which will add to the comedy effect when he's attacked by the ghost.
I did kind of wonder why they were all in like nightgowns and stuff.
Well, they're supposed to be in bed whenever being attacks the ship.
Was there another episode?
It doesn't attack the ship yet, but it shows up.
Were there other episodes where they're all in nightgowns like this? I can't remember now. Like,
yes, we mentioned his nightgown earlier. Was it last week or the week before? When we were talking about it, was more along the lines of what Scrooge would wear in the 1800s rather than pajamas at the time, because Gorilla was asking if this what pajamas look like in the 1960s. And we were saying, no, this is more like the 1800s.
Definitely not. Yeah, this is more like Scrooge in the Christmas Carol. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so now we have where they notice that there's a presence outside the ship, and Dr. Smith is having the robot analyze and tell him what the presence is. And the robot tries the best that it can, but it's overwhelmed. It just tells him, I can't remember verbatim, but it's unstoppable, irresistible. And then, of course, Dr. Smith immediately comes to the conclusion that it can only be Uncle Thaddeus. And, of course, Robinson's actually a good idea. Thank you, Gorilla.
Yeah, because we got a new person here also. So the Phantom Rumor says societies that people refer to you as long pig. Okay. Mike, some cannibalistic societies still exist, Phantom.
Yes, they do.
Well, the way they say the food's going there. Some people are looking mighty tasty here. It will start looking mighty tasty. And
like bugs, I guess.
Oh, hey, I'll eat a person before I eat a bug. Just putting that out there. I'm just being honest. I'm putting that out there. But anyhow, Irwin Allen also did some impressive character disaster films too.
Absolutely, my favorite being the Poseidon Adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that one. I saw that one at the drive-in, I believe.
Yeah, and Mikey says, "Jill," in homage to Matt G, he was missing, and gives us the drunk emoji.
Unfortunately, Jill didn't hear that, Gorilla, because she's away on another away mission. It looks
Uh,
like here.
I'll tell her when she comes back. And Mikey says, Ouija, own the movie, but never used one.
Oh, there's probably a dozen movies by now. They have like a Ouija exorcism, shark Ouija. I mean, it's terrible now what they've done with that. They ran it into the ground.
Oh, that's. I think I got November's Sunday cinema. Hear that? I'll just do it on. Maybe I'll do some random Thursday live streams. There, I'll do like a Ouija and Clue and stuff. I'm pretty sure
Clue's
there's
good.
Well, it better be worse than the one you did this Sunday, Gorilla, because I actually ended up enjoying that quite a bit.
It wouldn't be cringe stock there. Yeah. Hey, I thought the big old scene at the end there would have gotten you.
I actually had fun watching that. Like, I thought it was crazy, but the way you described it, I thought it would be just horrible, 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 and I'd hate every minute of it. But I actually got a lot of laughs out of watching that thing, and I think you did too, if I remember correctly.
It's hard not to laugh when you got someone else laughing along with you.
But it was ridiculous. But I it was only like an hour and a half, so it wasn't that bad. I kind of enjoyed it. I had fun. What can I say? I've seen a lot worse movies. Let's put it that way, Gorilla. Like,
well, the important thing is you had a good time, so that's great.
That helps, yeah. Oh, can we go back, Jill? Oh, is Jill gone again?
And the next Waltons episode is The Chicken Thief.
Chicken Thief, okay.
I ended up watching that because I forgot I was having trouble with StreamYards, and we said screw it on that one Friday. So
yeah, well, I should have Friday off this week, so I'll try and watch it earlier on Friday, and then I'll probably be able to pop on to give my review. So
yeah, try and does are two different things, though.
Yeah, tell me about it. I'm all too familiar with that.
Yeah.
Hey, as Jill's awake, I wanted her to go back because there was a caption there, like I kind of couldn't hardly believe when I read it, but I guess she's away right now. So
ask her when she comes back.
Yeah,
I think Peter's flipping us off or something. I can't quite tell what that is.
I think that's hand claps or something, actually.
Yeah, I think it's like applause. I think it's like applause.
Yeah, and Boomer says, "Yes, they do, Mikey." And Scurvy here says, "Space Ghost, coast to coast." And Susan says, "Captain Infinity, hello." Hey, Susan, I'm sorry we missed your comments until after you left there the other day. We got caught into the movie there, and I didn't switch back to StreamYards fast enough to say hi to you. And Cody Guy, welcome. He's waving.
Hey, Cody Guy, good to see you. Glad you could join us.
Yeah. And here's some damn Gorilla's channel who does some shorts and reviews.
Check out Gorilla's channel, everybody. I highly recommend it. Very entertaining.
Yeah. And Mikey says, hi, Cody. And Suzanne says, Cody Guy, hello. All right, we're all caught up.
All right. So,
but I will say, those pajamas do suit Dr. Smith, though.
Oh, definitely.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. Whoever's idea came up with it, I think was a genius because it's perfect.
Well, that's one thing about Lost in Space. It's one of the weirdest, quirky sci-fi shows I ever saw, and yet there's some kind of charm to it that makes it work more often than not. Even though I do think the first season is overall the strongest, and probably season 2 is the weakest for me because season 3 kind of bounces back and is quite good as well. And there's a lot of hit and miss episodes, right? There's some real clunkers, especially in season 2. But overall, there's just some magic about this show. I don't know if it's the characters, if it's the robot. I've never been able to quite pin it down. Well, the special effects are great, of course, but yeah, there's something about this show that is kind of special.
I like the fact that they always make sure that they keep it. I mean, it gets dark sometimes, but they keep it fairly light and they inject humor, which always helps. It makes it more memorable, especially as we've seen the evolution of the character of Dr. Smith in the first episode. And I think that really helps a lot as well.
Yeah, love him or hate him, you can't deny that Smith is an interesting character that does constantly evolve, So he never gets boring and stale just being the same thing week after week, right?
Exactly.
That's the one thing. I wish the writers had put as much emphasis on developing the other, characters in the show as they did on Smith, because basically it seemed like Smith and Will got all the attention, and even the robots at times seemed to have more personality than the Robinsons, to be quite honest. Because the Robinsons, it just seemed, and Dawn, it just seemed like they were kind of in the background in too many episodes, and they
Well,
just got a little,
they did. They
yeah,
got further and further written in the background as the series
yeah.
progressed. But if
Mm.
anybody are wondering, the good news about that is they were all still paid the same, regardless of how many times, how many lines they had, or how much screen appearance, or how much screen
Oh,
time they
that's
had.
good. That's good.
Right.
Hey, Jill's back. Are you back, Jill?
Yeah, hopefully.
Oh, Jill, I got
Uh-oh.
a chat here. I
Oh,
got a
what's up?
chat for you. Do you want to read that?
Hey, you're not Matt G. Jill! In homage to, Matt G, who's missing. Thank you, Mikey.
With the drunk emoji. With the drunk emoji.
Oh, I didn't know that was the drunk emoji. Thank you.
I think it's a winking face, but oh well.
No,
Yeah,
no, no.
it is a winking face.
That's not the winking face.
Well,
That's just, you got the curvy mouth there. You got one eye half closed.
well, that's an interesting interpretation, girl. I never quite thought of it that way.
Me neither.
Jill, could you please go back one or two slides? Because
Really?
there was a line. Yeah, before you left, you had that's, let's see. Where is it here? This one. I couldn't believe when I read this. It's like on one of his infrequent benders. Like, are they talking about Smith? Like,
No, this is about Uncle.
oh,
Thaddeus.
okay. I was thinking, geez, I can't believe they actually put this line in a Family Hour show. I thought, whoa, that's getting kind of towards the,
Yeah, Uncle Thaddeus went on the bender.
Yeah, it's getting a little edgy though for like a Family Hour show on CBS, right? So that caught my attention. Yeah, that's funny. But that makes sense if it's Thaddeus. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Even implying binging alcohol is crazy
Exactly.
for this
Exactly.
time slot.
Oh, come on. I've never binged alcohol. Not once.
There's no proof of it on the internet either.
Yeah, there's absolutely no proof of it, especially not on Antiderivative Jill's channel there.
Oh God.
Oh, welcome, Herc. Welcome.
Hello, Herc 130.
Hello, Herc. Good to see you.
Let's just, since we're all stopped here, let's catch up on chat. We got like 5 more. Suzanne says, "No worries, dear. My phone died." Okay. And Suzanne says, "Pop, we have been able to make a horrible situation that turned it into an adventure. The lack of running water has been a fun time hauling water.
Oh.
The lack of electricity has turned into cookouts and s'mores."
Wow.
I'm sorry to hear that, Suzanne, but at least you're
Very creative.
Yeah.
You lost your power or something. It sounds like. Wow, that's
Yeah, there's GoFundMe up there. We got a Give Send Go for set up.
Wow.
I'll try to
Yes,
help
everybody, if you're able to help out, please do.
Yeah, Herc says, "Oh boy, A team on the panel and A team in the chat." Yeah.
Hey, nice.
And Scurvy says, "That's awesome, Suzanne." Scurvy
That's
says,
right. We
"Howdy,
had the
Herc."
best right here.
Yeah. And Herc says, "Lemony." I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Lemony?
Maybe it's
Scurvy.
reference to lemon pie.
Yeah, that's what I call Scurvy. Suzanne says, "Herc, hello." Scurvy says, "I myself don't drink except for beer, wine, and scotch."
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, Scurvy. I don't drink. I don't drink either, except when I do.
Yeah, that's like saying I don't drive except when I'm in my vehicle heading down the road.
Or I don't drink anymore. I also don't drink any less. Phantom Boomer says, "Herc," and Herc says, "Boomer." Suzanne says, "We are fine. I am a strong woman and got a wonderful boy. We will make it."
Awesome.
Oh. I'll give Smith one thing. Given that he believes the island is haunted, it is slightly out of characteristically brave of him to want to go seek it out. I'll be right back.
True.
We got a bongo boy or bongo girl.
Yeah.
Girl.
Yeah, they used to call me that at work there because every time I would sit there and put the pots away, I was always beating on them like a bongo.
Oh,
Now
boy.
I'm drawing a blank on her name, but she used to call. Oh, Beth. Beth used to always call me Bongo Boy. So I was always sitting there banging on the pots when I was putting them away and stuff.
And this is a great still here, thanks to Jill. This is where a big rock flies up in the air and is hurtled toward Dr. Smith, who screams and then jumps to the ground just in time to avoid it.
Damn it!
Well,
and go ahead.
There was a whole bunch of stuff before this too when they were inside the ship.
Yeah, I was just going to cover that. There's high winds.
Oh, okay,
and you get
go for it.
And tumbleweeds flying back and forth. Their hydroponic garden, their food was all knocked over, right?
Yeah, and there's like a table or something that I think that flew by the window, and it was a real mess.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
No,
and
no, but
I have that. Go ahead, Gorilla.
Oh, I only said damn it because it missed him.
Oh,
yeah. It was pretty close, though. You know, I have to give props to the special effects guys, you know, for getting all that stuff to work in that scene, because there was a lot of stuff flying around for like a minute or so there, and I thought
it kind of reminded me of it reminded me of like a haunted house.
Very well done, though.
I have some notes here. Irwin Allen's comments on the script. The ideas conveyed in these last two paragraphs were implemented in the next draft of the script. Allen's memo continued. Will there be wind accompanying the events with the ghost or not? There's a lot of dialogue referring to the high wind throughout the script. Page 48, scene 118. Smith should explain his... Oh, we haven't gotten there. I don't want to spoil that one. But I do want to cover this. With CBS so determined that nothing frightening happened to the children in the series, and nothing happened to frighten the children watching at home, it had become even clearer that Lost in Space could not venture anywhere near true action-adventure, life-and-death situations. Irwin Allen and Tony Wilson had good reason to believe that Lost in Space would have to be a show with intentionally non-horrific monsters and scenes that were played for laughs over thrills. Seizing the opportunity, Jonathan Harris meddled further with the character. In the first minute of the episode, the tone was set as Harris overplayed the scene in which Smith tosses the blasting pack into the bog. The idea that he would throw the pack, then turn to leave, then pause, then return to the edge of the bog to fling in the pin is inane. But Harris thought it was funny, and it actually was funny.
It was
but
great.
Harris thought it was, but Harris thought it was funny, and so did first-time Lost in Space director Don Richardson. To appreciate how much Harris hammed it up, compare his behavior on the screen to the way the action was described in the script. This is from the script. He looks around once more to make sure that Will is well on his way, then pulls the pin on the explosive and tosses it far out into the bog. He brushes his hands off with a satisfied smile of a job well done. Then he looks at his watch and starts sauntering at a leisurely pace back to camp. So once again, Jonathan Harris improved it, because I think what we saw on screen is much better and was much more funnier than we saw and read in the script.
Yeah, he was a very smart actor, really, Jonathan Harris. He was really a very thoughtful, intelligent, guy. Like, he knew how to develop a character given the basics of what the writers had, provided as a foundation. He was one of those. I've always loved actors like that, right? They get a foundation from the scripts that the writers are feeding them, and then they read the script, they develop the character, they add little things here and there, and they find a way to play the character that adds so much dimensionally to the character and makes them interesting, if that makes any sense.
No, it does, and that's what makes remakes so horribly bad, like Star Trek and Lost in Space, because the characters that we've grown to know and love what they are because of what the actors put into them. And when you
Yeah.
just have other actors replacing these characters, it just doesn't work.
They just don't understand the characters, basically.
They
Yeah,
don't.
I
They're
agree.
just trying to mimic. Right, they're just trying to mimic what came before them, and very poorly so.
Yeah, mimic. That's the perfect word, Pop, to describe it. I agree 100% there. But
Yep, and
I love that scene though when he runs back to throw the pin in the bog. Like I just thought,
yes, he
Jonathan,
hesitates
you're
and turns
brilliant,
around. Right.
just brilliant. I laughed so hard when I saw that. It was great.
And another note here is regarding the continuing evolution of the character. Harris told interviewer Mark Clark, "I think he would be a bore. Comedic villainy is far more palatable than out and out villainy, which I don't think is interesting for more than 10 minutes. One could adore Dr. Smith while also screaming, 'I'm going to kill the SOB.' And that's exactly what people did." So that just, and I like the fact that they're interviewing him during the process of him evolving the character. That kind of gives us an insight into what he was thinking.
Well, that reminds me of another show I really love, Dark Shadows, where is you had Jonathan Frid playing vampire Barnabas Collins, and they were just going to like bring Barnabas in as to boost the ratings and make the show scarier, and kill him off after in like 3 months, right? That was the plan. He came in and he played the character, with such subtlety, built on what the writers had given him, the basic foundation. But he built the character to a level that made him so, complex and interesting. And he was
Yep.
like, they call him the first sympathetic vampire because even though he had the thirst for blood and he did occasionally go out, and kill, he was always haunted and felt guilty about doing that, right? He knew he was cursed, and he played it as a tragic figure. And sometimes he was quite heroic, and sometimes he would actually save people. So it's like if you get an actor that is intelligent and can take the basics of what the screenwriters have given to him, and he can build on it and think about it and develop a character to where a character is an interesting and fascinating character to the audience. It can only help your show immensely, right?
Just like Leonard Nimoy with Spock.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Nimoy was a genius. Like Spock is such a multi-layered character.
Yeah, and then when we
Yeah.
get that horrible J.J. Abrams version, it's like I said, like it's a copy, a cheap. It's like a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy.
Yeah, you're talking about
And it's like,
Quinto. Quinto, I guess
yes,
his name is. Yeah,
yes.
I was never impressed by his performance, really.
No offense if there's anybody out there listening who likes those, but the point is that when you try to copy something that another person that worked so hard to do and create, I'll put it this way: it's like I'm not an artist, I'm not a painter by any means, but if I went and tried to do the Mona Lisa tomorrow, I just don't think I could capture it like the original, right? So I think that's the
Exactly.
problem is what's missing, but that's my opinion. How are we doing
No,
on
I
the
think
chat, Gorilla?
Yeah,
your
I was
opinion's
just trying to.
accurate.
I was trying to interrupt there. We got a
Thank
couple
you.
of them. Here's the link to the underground there for LDG there. If you ever need any IT help, which obviously I have to go back there and need some help, but or you just need a place to hang out, a lot of fun, shows back there and everything. Berg says, I love it when Jill's real life collides with her YouTube life.
I agree.
Take every time.
So glad
Mommy Jill to the rescue.
it is entertaining for everyone else.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
cute. I
yeah.
love it.
Endlessly entertaining, Jill.
Peter
Yeah,
Not-
she is adorable, for sure.
Peter Notfinity says, how does one get a link to the panel? Tonight we're trying to rush through because we're running late and I'm
We're
tired.
running late, Captain. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We're running late. Normally, I forgot to mention that, everybody. I usually put a link in the panel, but I started a half hour late because I had so many things running behind. And there's, like I mentioned earlier, there's some people here that are running a couple hours later than me. And I know some of you guys have to work tomorrow. So that's the only reason why I don't have a link in the panel tonight. But we will again next week, I promise, and I'm sorry. And tomorrow with our horror stream, we will have a link to the panel. But it's nothing personal against anybody. It's just because we're trying to get through this episode I'm not. We're not trying to rush it, but we want to try to get through it as quick as possible. Is all.
Yeah. And Peter here says the question is it the same Spock character canonically? No, it is not because it's in a different timeline. It's in the Kelvin timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, but none of that matters. That's just a cheap writing gimmick. None of that matters.
Yeah.
I don't talk timelines. I talk about writing gimmicks by people who don't know how to write and that are hacks. That's all it is.
Oh, I liked it that they put it in a different timeline there, but that's just me. Here, Job says thank you.
That's fine.
And Peter says, what? Excluded again? I am
No,
not
Captain.
sure. I'm not sure what FFS means.
I think I know.
Yeah, I don't want to
spell
it. No, Captain. It's nothing personal, Captain. No, it's just it's like I said. It's because of the time is all. It's not nothing against you, Captain.
Yeah, Peter says.
Captain knows I love him. Captain knows I love him. He knows that's not the point.
Peter says so much for the golden rule. It's kind of is personal when you exclude a regular.
No, it's not. Like I said, it's not anybody in particular. Like I said, I explained the reason why. I shouldn't have to again. It's no offense to anybody. Please don't take it personally. I don't know how else to say it without offending anybody, but believe me, that we're not trying to offend anyone. That's the last thing we want to do. We want everyone to feel welcome.
Yeah, because you guys got me for another hour, then it's bedtime for me.
I know, and we're not even halfway into this episode. That's the thing, is I knew we were going to be running a little late.
Yeah, we should move along because I still haven't eaten supper yet either because, I didn't have time to eat before the stream, so. Which is fine. I'm okay, but,
Okay, so what happens is to get caught up is we had a scene where Dr. Smith was apparently attacked by a flying rock, and he was able to dodge out of the way just in time. And then that's when the Robinson family and Don emerged from the Jupiter 2, and they noticed that it happened to happen at sunrise, right when the sun came up, is whenever the creature or whatever it was, the invisible force seemed to disappear. And then this was also when they noticed footprints in the sand, three-toed. And that's why Don gives the comment to Dr. Smith, does your uncle happen to have a three-toed? Does your uncle happen to be a three-toed freak, Smith? But of course, Smith is still not completely convinced.
Oh, and come on. Don't be making fun of the amputees. Let's not be making fun of the amputees. Some of them can't help it that they got their toes chopped off for it could have been a multiple reasons.
and just as a behind the scenes info, I'm sure a lot of you have probably realized, but I'll explain if you haven't. They use the same effect similar to from Forbidden Planet with the Invisible Beast, and that is they have a raised platform with sand on it. They have the footprints already cut out, and then what they do is they lower the footprints from underneath. They have the shape of a footprint, and they lower it from underneath, which gives the impression that it's being pushed down from the top.
Oh, cool. I was wondering how they did that.
Right. They did it on a raised platform. And so you have people down below, which basically have like you have feet cut out. And then when they lower that, it looks like the foot pushing down. So that's how that effect is done.
Yeah, it's a very impressive special effect. I mean, that's the thing. What I loved about 50s, 60s stuff is it was like the peak of practical effects, right? I mean, you had technicians back in those days that were so talented, so knowledgeable, they could just about pull off anything, in a practical, real life effect and make it look convincing, right? And I've always found these kind of things to be far more impressive than the CGI garbage we get today, right? So.
And not only that, they had a budget and they had a strict time schedule, so even more impressive, right?
Oh yeah, totally, yeah.
And now they're debating whether it's an energy or what sort of being it is, even though Dr. Smith is still convinced that it's his Uncle Thaddeus. But deservedly so, Don doesn't believe him, and neither does the Robinsons.
That was the line the robot said earlier, by the way.
That's the line, right? Right. That's where Don, right, and Don repeats it. That when the robot scanned the area and described the being, he said it's also invisible, indestructible, and irresistible.
But if he cannot compute things about the creature, then how can he compute things about the creature?
Right. It seems to be sometimes he can, sometimes he can't. I guess depending on the script or the plot. I guess right.
Yeah.
And
Well, the
yet with enough
robot.
in.
I always
Go
thought the
ahead.
robot was. I thought the robot was kind of flawed in a way. Maybe his programming wasn't as good as it should have been, and
Well, I think they do it because they don't want to give away too much.
Well, this appears to be a humanoid with some kind of energy power, and he powers down the robot. And I kind of the parts I like are when he makes the robot is the power's taken away, and he goes. Like, it's
oh,
really
that
That's
was
right.
funny. I
Right.
love that.
Yeah. Thank you for reminding me, Jill. I can't remember if that was in the previous scene or if it's coming up. But when the alien approaches the ship, it drains all the energy from the ship and the robot, and that was a very good scene. I agree.
Yeah, poor robot. I felt bad for him in this episode.
Oh, don't worry. Next week, it's going to make up for that.
Oh yeah, I did watch it to the end, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
And now's where Don questions Dr. Smith, saying that explosion didn't quite sound right. So he's suspicioning that Dr. Smith didn't throw the explosion in the explosive in the right area. And he asked him a few questions about how he set the bomb. And of course, Smith is just agreeing with him. And then Don says, well, that's basically Don set a trap for him and saying that's not how the bomb works. That's not standard operating procedure. And here's where Smith admits that he, instead of putting the bomb where it was supposed to go, that he just tossed it into the bog. So they've come to the realization that maybe perhaps that may have released something from the bog. Try to sum it up as best as I can.
Yeah, I guess what the thing was in the bog. I guess the power of the blast energized it and brought it to life, so to speak, is what I'm guessing.
Or energized or released. We're not really sure. Yes.
Or maybe both. I mean, we don't know, right?
Right. So here we are. Smith still going on and on about Uncle Thaddeus, and Don is reminding him that it's your three-toed uncle. So Don is not going to give up on that. Thank goodness. And how are we doing on the chat, Gorilla?
Just got we got stream elements for Jim's Landscaping Commodore Productions for his specialized fan films and puppy videos. And we got Scurvy here says, wait, am I supposed to have more than 3 toes? Well, unless you had a bad accident there, Scurvy. Stuff happens. All right, there we go. We're all caught up.
Very cool. Thank you.
Oh,
all right.
Welcome. Sean Carter says, hello all. Sorry,
Hey, Sean. Hey, Sean. Good to see you. I'm sorry, there's no link to the panel. We're kind of running late because I started a half hour late because I was busy, and it's late for some of the people on the panel. So we're trying to breeze through this as quick as possible without rushing. So no offense to you, because I know you usually come on the panel, and I've explained that to other people in the chat. For any of you guys that are regulars, it's nothing personal. It's just strictly for time is all. But I'm glad you came by, Sean. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, Sean.
Yeah, Scurvy here says, hey, hail, Sean. He's throwing hail at Sean. And then Suzanne says, Sean, hello. And Sean says, oh, no worries, I hear ya. And here's Phantom Boomer's Explorers channel for watch parties. All right, all caught up.
Very cool. Thank you.
All right.
And here's where Maureen was explaining that she believes that they're basically a balance between psychic and science.
You might want
that
to
our first appearance.
You might want to get rid of the chat on the bottom of the screen because it's blocking the subtitles. There you go. Oh, it's back.
Gorilla and I are fighting with the button there.
Uh-oh.
So here's where they decide to hold us. Here's where Smith decides to hold a séance to basically get rid of Uncle Thaddeus.
Oh, this is just weird. This scene's just weird.
It is, and the kids aren't taking it seriously anyway. And Dr.
The viewers.
Right,
and the viewers aren't either.
Professor Robinson and Don decide to go investigate the bog.
Oh, this is
And
cool.
as they do, they can see the invisible forces heading towards them, knocking over trees. And as it does that, we have Don and Professor Robinson attacked by the being.
I really enjoyed this scene. I thought, wow, this is a really cool scene. I love the laser rifles. I guess we've probably seen them a few times before, but I thought it was very cool, the way they were blasting the trees, and it was like really, really well done. I really enjoyed this
For
scene.
me, given how destructive this creature is to objects, it's strange that he isn't so destructive with living beings. And it made me wonder if maybe he had different intentions with life, but we don't actually ever get to
Well,
figure that out.
yeah, that's one. I agree, Jill. That's probably one of the big plot holes that kind of bothered me as well. It's like, okay, this thing can rip trees apart, but it's not ripping the Robinsons apart and Dawn. So it's like, I don't know. But I just thought, oh, what the hell? I'm going to go with it because it is what it is, right? So
Maybe,
It's true.
maybe
They,
the
they
monster.
did they did do a good job flailing around as if they were being beaten up.
yeah, I was
And
impressed with that. Yeah.
I have some notes regarding that scene.
Maybe the monster here took the Hippocratic oath that it shall do no harm.
Considering that no episode of Lost in Space had yet to be brought in on budget, Alan felt justified in doing a little shouting. That scene that we were just speaking of, where John and Don were being attacked by the being, that was day 2 of shooting on a Friday, January 14th. It was another full day on stage 6, with Will and Smith encountering the monster in the bog and John and Don getting slapped silly by the invisible beast. Fortunately, it didn't bite or claw or rip limbs out. It just hit. The scenes with Smith and Will were intentionally played for laughs. The fight scene with John and Don were also laughable, but perhaps unintentionally so. At least by the actors. The man behind the camera felt differently about it. Director Don Richardson said Lost in Space was always a space comedy adventure show. The story I was told by the story editor Tony Wilson, who was a friend of mine from New York, and was the one who got Irwin to hire me, was that when the pilot was made, Irwin, who had absolutely no sense of humor, thought he was making a very serious program. In the viewing room, the executives from the network who were... Yes?
I was gonna say, Suzanne, you have a good night there. Hope you have a good. I hope things get better for you, but you have a good night.
I did
Thank you,
too.
Suzanne.
Good night.
Yeah. Good
Yeah,
night,
thank you for
Suzanne.
being here, Suzanne. In the viewing room, the executives from the network who were watching the pilot were absolutely hysterical, laughing at this ridiculous thing. Irwin Allen almost got furious and got up and wanted to stop the showing. Tony kicked him under the table and whispered, "Never mind, they love it." That's how it became a comedy, and it stayed a comedy forever afterwards. Concerning the comic chemistry between Will and Smith, Jonathan Harris told William Ankers Jr., "We were very good friends, Billy and I. Based on mutual need, we needed each other. I'm no fool. I needed that young boy. He was very important to me. He was also a wonderful actor. I thought, he had rules on how long he could act, and then he had to go to school. I used to go to the school which was on the set. I would bribe his female teacher with a bottle of cologne and drag him off to my dressing room to work on the next scene. Oh, he was quick as could be, of course. His dear mother was always hanging out about until I barred her from the set. Out and out she went. She got in the way. I had no time for that nonsense. I really didn't. It's a hard job, really. It's very tough. 7 o'clock in the makeup chair with your eyes totally closed, toothpicks to hold them up, keep them open so they could line your eyes up, mascara on, then you come home at 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10, just barely alive having survived the San Diego freeway. Then take a small glass of gin, a piece of steak, and you're dead. You're in bed. Then up at 4:30, you see. So you do what you have to. You need certain people to help you do what you're doing. So you use each other. I don't know whether Billy felt that. He was very young. But I knew what I was doing. I was using him for him and him for me, and it worked. There we go. Sorry about that, guys.
No, that's great.
Oh, I'm glad that Erwin feels that way.
Yeah, I think Irwin was one of those people that didn't never quite get what he was producing. Like he was a really obviously an excellent producer because he had so many successful shows and movies, but quite often his stuff could be quite incredibly campy, and I don't think he ever totally got that a lot of the time. That other
He did
people were like,
eventually remember. He did eventually remember, as we covered earlier. What happened was he was intent on being a serious show, as we could tell in the first few episodes. But
right,
then,
Love
as
those first few episodes.
yeah,
yes,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
as Jonathan Harris started injecting comedy and humor into the Doctor Smith character, remember, letters start flowing in from the fans, which Irwin Allen got wind of, and that's when he called Jonathan Harris to his office.
right,
Jonathan Harris thought he was in trouble, thought he was going to get fired, and Irwin Allen said to him, "quote That thing you do with the humor, do more."
yep,
So Irwin Allen did eventually get to the point and realize it and embrace it.
And that's
yeah.
good and everything to have some humor, but when it overshadows any semblance of an interesting science fiction story, that's when you get a problem.
Yes, or the logic, right?
But that is the thing. I mean, any intelligent producer is going to give his cast, his actors, a certain amount of leeway to develop their characters in, in ways and areas that maybe aren't exactly in the script, and to add those little details, and sidelines that actually make the character, more believable, more interesting, build the character. And I think that's the sign of a really good producer, is they do allow their cast a certain amount of freedom and leeway, so to speak. Oh, everybody's gone away. Oh, I'll take a
I'm
break
not
then too.
away. I'm
Yeah.
not
Oh,
away.
okay, you're still here, but I'm going to
Yeah.
just take a quick break, Gorilla, if that's okay, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here too. I don't know why my mic was muted. I don't know what's going on with
Yeah,
StreamYard. It's the
you,
second time
you,
tonight it's done that.
yeah, you were out there for a minute, but I'm
All
just
right.
gonna. I'll be away for a minute or two. I'll be back soon, guys.
All right.
Okay,
Let's catch
sounds
up
good.
on chat then. So
Thank you,
Sean
Gorilla.
says, "Waving to all. I'm working, so I can't respond." And he has a car and a pizza. Well, just remember, Sean, keep your eyes on your phone and your hands on the pizza.
Oh,
Oh,
sounds
I'm
delicious.
Herc says, nice emoji you, Sean. There, keep your eyes on the road and your hands on the wheel. Oops, I had to
Exactly.
wrong.
And everybody, I want to recommend Sean's channel, the Sci-Fi Model Guy. He's doing some fantastic work, and he's currently putting together, believe it or not, a Jupiter 2 model like from this TV show in very, very high detail. So please check out his channel. And I know that we'll see a link in that in the Stream Elements bot. We'll put it up here soon. But yeah, Sean Carter, shout out to him. And shout out to Captain Pinnity, Peter Pinnity, or not Pinnity, or whatever your name is right now, Captain. I feel bad for the people that couldn't be on the panel tonight. I just want to reiterate that it's nothing personal, everybody.
Yeah.
It's strictly for time, is all.
Yeah. Here's PVB's channel for all your
I'll be right back on a phone call. Be right back.
And here is Suzanne saying goodnight to everybody. And Scurvy says bye, Suzanne. And here's other Greg's channel for your spoiler-free views. Alrighty, we're all caught up there.
Oh man, pop culture curator had to step away for a phone call. And here and at this scene too, where this is my favorite part of the episode, where they have a singing seance.
Yeah, they might as well just singing, let the bodies hit the floor, let the bodies hit the floor.
Why not? It was hilarious. This is great. And I guess
I don't know, it still seems very out of character.
Oh no, it is. It's completely absurd, but it had me laughing for a minute, so I was good.
I was too sober to be laughing.
There we go.
No, it was out of nowhere to me, so it was funny.
And I want to mention too here, thank you for stopping on this frame, Jill. They're referring to the robot. This is a lot I got to pack into this frame. The robot is once again singing Now, we only see the robot do that a handful of times throughout the series. The robot is singing, and I mentioned this before, that whenever the robot sings, we're not getting the voice of Dick Tufeld, the announcer of the show. We're getting the voice of Bob May, the guy on the inside of the suit. So it's very rare throughout the series that you're hearing the actual actor inside the robot's voice. Normally it's done by the voiceover of the announcer of the show. So it's another unique reason I want you to check out this episode if you want to hear what Bob May sounded like. And another thing is they're mentioning an old classic song called If a Body Meets a Body Coming Through the Rye, which anybody, if you've ever read it, if you haven't, I highly recommend J.D. Salinger's The Catcher in the Rye. It's an excellent book that has been banned unfortunately been banned at many schools now, but I highly recommend it. I've read it, and it's
that's one of my favorites.
Novel. Oh, excellent. But yeah, that's where the name comes from. Catcher in the Rye. It came from this song, When a Body Meets a Body Coming Through the Rye.
Oh, that's the novel you're talking about. Okay.
Uh-huh.
I have not ever read that. I guess I should.
Very good book. Well, it's been banned.
Might be a phony.
Yeah, right. That's true.
It seems to be one of those books I've heard reviews where some people love it, some people hate it. It seems to be one of those novels, right? But
it's one of those. It's a masterpiece, and it's just people complaining and banning books.
Who was the guy that wrote it?
You will be enlightened. J.D. Salinger.
Salinger, that's the guy I was thinking of. Yeah, he actually is that the only book he ever wrote? Because I remember reading about his life story, and he was a real recluse. Like he just basically wrote this famous book, and then it seemed like he spent the rest of his life kind of hiding in his house from the world or something. It was kind of unusual.
I'd have to look that up. I'm not sure. It's a good.
I don't think he ever wrote another book, did he? I mean, I have no idea, but that's what I think I read somewhere.
Kind of like To Kill a Mockingbird, the author of that. She wrote that book, and it was famous, and she didn't do anything else for years, and she finally wrote the sequel, which was just recently published.
Yeah, the sequel was just actually published a couple years ago, I believe.
Just before she passed away.
Oh, when she was still alive? Oh.
She was still alive, blind, and living in a senior citizens facility. But she gave permission. It wasn't until she was very late in her life that she gave permission for it to be published.
Well, I think it's very difficult to finish a book that is in a fake kind of memoir format as Catcher in the Rye is and make it meaningful, and I think he did.
I agree.
Interesting.
And it's something that, believe me, by the time you close the last page, you will be glad you read it. I highly recommend it. Otherwise, we would not have brought it up, obviously.
Yeah, good point. I didn't know that came from this. I thought it was born from his imagination, so that's cool. There's an origin.
Well, yeah, close to the end of the book is where he explains the connection with that in the song. So
right, kids. I remember the kids, but I don't remember the song.
Yes, and I remember the song because of a jingle. A product used to use it on, I don't remember if it was butter or what, but I first heard a jingle on a commercial that used to use it from years ago. And then I heard about the song itself. And it wasn't until I rewatched this episode I had forgotten that Lost in Space brought up the song at all.
I do think it was pretty comical though, to have the robot playing the guitar. I really enjoyed that part.
I don't mind that happening. That's fun.
Yeah.
Yes, well, that's where we get more evolution of the robot character as well.
That's part of the fun of the series, Jill, is the robot. He really is a character in the series, and he does grow and change, right? And he is a lot of fun.
Yeah, he's my favorite character. It's not going to change anytime soon.
Me too.
It'll probably remain. I have a feeling it's going to remain that way, Jill.
Even more so, right? If he's your favorite now, I'll say this.
Oh, yeah.
This way, you haven't seen nothing yet, as they say.
Yeah, the robot just continues to grow through the whole show. So, yeah.
So Dr. Smith is trying to hold a séance to get rid of the good old Uncle Thaddeus, but he seems to be the only one taking it seriously. Everybody seems to be snickering and laughing, and he keeps shushing them and trying to continue with the séance. And suddenly, as this happens, we get a warning from the robot that whatever the beast is coming back, and it slaps Dr. Smith. And Dr. Smith still thinks Uncle Thaddeus, you stop that this minute. And Don's trying to tell him, don't you realize yet it's not your Uncle Thaddeus? So Dr. Smith, of course,
I love how
go ahead.
They hit the door and it's like they're going to lock Smith out. He just makes it.
Oh, they did? Yeah, exactly. Like, it's like, okay, Smith, you stay outside.
I love it. I love that. It's like, okay, if you love Uncle Thaddeus so much, Smith, you can just hang out there outside with him.
All right. And this is where we get to the scene where my timing was a little off, but I mentioned earlier. But apparently, whatever this being is draws out all the power from the Jupiter 2 and the robot. That's why we see the robot's hands extended. And then after a moment, the power is restored to the ship, and the power slowly comes back to the robot, who revives.
But he does say, "I'll need a battery recharge in the morning" or something. That's hilarious.
Yes.
I love that line. That I was laughing. That made me laugh. That was.
And we all know where he recharges. He's got that station down below in the center of the room.
That was good.
So here's where we have
the keeper left some cages behind.
Yeah, exactly. That cage came in handy that the keeper left behind. So Professor Robinson and Don decided to set a trap by putting a few solar batteries inside, because they realized that whatever this being is thrives off energy the way that it drained the Jupiter 2, which is a good idea. It's similar to a cheese with a mouse.
Right.
And Dr. Smith is trying to convince them that it's not going to work with Uncle Thaddeus.
I'm guessing the keeper might have left a couple of cages behind just because he felt a little guilty about trying to kidnap the Robinson children, and he changed his mind.
Well, remember that this is the cage that he left Dr. Smith in when he left, because he said,
"Yeah, exactly.
I left the most dangerous being behind," he said.
Yeah, well, I won't argue with that statement for sure. But
and now we have later on we have that evening where it looks like the trap gets triggered, the door falls down, and the batteries are shaking about, and the entire cage is shaking, and the beast is struggling, and the beast finally knocks over the cage, breaking the glass, and escapes. Trying to rush through this, guys. And hearing all the commotion and the noise, the Robinsons come out and realize that it's been loose, that it's basically they caught it and it busted loose. And Smith again is trying to warn them that all they've done is anger Uncle Thaddeus.
All right.
And they're trying. Sorry, go ahead, Gorilla.
I have a huge issue with this, Okay, I can understand using a Ouija board to try to communicate with your lost relatives and that. But if his Uncle Thaddeus was that much of a-hole, why would he bother trying to communicate with him and then bring his spirit back?
Well, according to Smith, he's upset because he brought him back. Because, the old myth where, people are at peace when they're dead, and when you bring them back, that upsets them because they want to go back to sleep.
Hey, Joe, can you go back a few just quickly? That one. This line I found quite bizarre. Oh, the ignorance of science. It's like, that's got to be one of the strangest lines I've ever heard a dialogue, to be honest.
Especially from someone with a PhD himself.
Exactly. It's like Smith isn't acting like an educated man in this episode. He's acting like a superstitious fool, that believes in the supernatural. And that's one thing about this. If that's the major criticism I had of the episode, that's it. It's like, Smith's character just seems out of character in a lot of this episode, to be honest.
Agree. Especially with that notion.
Yeah. That's a crazy line. I heard that line, it's like, what? What the, that was just weird.
Usually he's using the ideas of science in his favor, like trying to use it as a argument that he's right and everything, instead of...
Exactly.
He's never attacking it.
Well, the thing is, usually Smith, his logic might be totally twisted and self-serving, but usually there's some bit of logic in there somewhere, right? Not just crazy belief in the supernatural all of a sudden, which, as I say, totally out of character. That's my big criticism in this one.
Right. He usually takes real ideas of his education and manipulates them for his purposes.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Anyway, thanks, Jill.
You're welcome.
So here's where Dr. Smith comes to Will's quarters and wakes up in the middle of the night. And the first thing you wonder is, where did Dr. Smith get these clothing and this garb? He's dressed like a monk.
I love this. Yeah, where did he? Maybe I guess he used the laundry machine to
The
Yeah,
fabricate.
that's what
laundry
I was
machine,
thinking.
right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
The
he's
clothing
got it.
fabricator.
He learned how to use it too.
Yeah.
I actually have notes from the book on this scene here, and that is page 48, scene 118. Smith should explain his strange, quote, exorcism get up to Will so that the audience will understand why he is dressed this way. On January 5th, 1966, Sam Taylor Jr. of CBS Program Practices in Hollywood, censors everybody, page 17 and 18, scenes 41 through 43. If the glass being used by Smith is to rock and then shatter, we would wish it to be evident that the unseen presence has caused these movements. In other words, there should be no indication that the movements are caused by Smith's use of the Ouija board. Page 37, scene 77. As Will and Penny receive blows from the unseen presence, they should not appear to be seriously injured. Page 56, scene 124. We would not wish the presence, now visible, to be excessively terrifying. Page 57. While this script does not indicate it, we would not wish Will's disappearance into the bog to conclude an act. Meaning, when Will disappears, they don't want that to be a cliffhanger where the audience lingers on it. So they actually thought about that. They want to be able to cut to the next scene. So I guess people didn't linger on it at the time. They guess they thought it would be too frightening. And now I'll save the next notes for scenes coming up. Thank you.
Yeah, I gotta say this part of the episode with Smith dressed as a monk and doing the supernatural, trying to like do the exorcism type of thing. It was just like I found this extremely ridiculous, personally.
Yeah, but
And
one
the
thing I do
spirits
give
need exercise.
I didn't.
right,
Oh yeah, that was a good joke Will made.
right, that's what I thought was really good too, because when this came out, majority of the majority of the public had never heard of the words exorcism or poltergeist. So this was
Probably
used before Poltergeist came out, and this was used before The Exorcist came out, which
very
makes it
true.
even doubly so. I love the joke where Will thought he meant exercise rather than exorcise.
I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. It's not like I hate this scene. I actually kind of enjoyed it because it was so crazy. But yeah, it's like this episode has crazy scenes like this, but it doesn't. For me, it didn't detract from the overall enjoyment because even the nuttier parts of the episode were still a lot of fun. So, yeah.
Yes, and here we have the scene where Dr. Smith is attempting to placate Uncle Thaddeus. So he's got what looks like it to be a jug of some sort and a knife, and he says a few mumbo jumbo words, and he has Will repeat them. When all it is a tree just shaking in the wind, and Will doesn't really believe him, and Will tells him that he gives Will some garlic. Will swirls it around a few times and just tosses it away and doesn't really believe in it. And Dr. Smith continues the mumbo jumbo, and Will, there we go, that's when he tosses the garlic. I think it's a dead tree, says Will. And as Will approaches it, he realizes it is a tree. And he tells Dr. Smith so. He tells Dr. Smith. Dr. Smith realizes it, walks up, and also agrees that it's a tree. And as
That's
we
what I
have that,
loved. It took him 3 minutes to realize it was a dead tree, right?
yes. And here's where we have apparently the invisible creature is now visible. So we get our first appearance of the creature, which apparently seems to be a cyclops.
I
And
love.
we have,
It's like didn't Smith clue in when he was looking down at those feet that that's not Will?
well, it's
It's
not
like
the first time we got the reveal this way. It was the same way with the pirate from last week's,
it was
where he looks
hilarious.
from toe up to head and doesn't realize until he sees the head, I guess.
I know. I gotta say though, this is probably for season one. This is probably the creepiest, scariest monster they've come up with so far. Because I found this thing, even as an adult, I found this thing totally creeped me out. I don't remember watching. I know I watched it as a kid. I just don't remember watching it. But this must have given me frickin' nightmares. This thing, seriously, this thing's horrible. It's horrendous.
Yep, I
Anyway,
think it looks really good. And of course, it's the same actor. Remember now, we've spoken before. I have the name here in my notes, but it's the same guy who played the Cyclops and several of the other creatures from earlier.
okay. But
The
I
ex
just
basketball player who died in a tragic car accident in the
oh,
70s.
I remember you mentioning that, yeah. But this creature just totally creeps me out. It's just like this has got to be one of the ugliest things I've ever seen. This thing because it's just like
Dawson,
wow.
right? Dawson Palmer. Dawson Palmer, and we will be seeing him without a costume and without makeup in a future episode here coming up within the next few weeks. So if you guys are
Awesome,
wondering what that actor looks like within the suit, we will get to see him.
cool.
The Space Croppers, if I remember right, is the name of the episode.
Oh geez, that's not one of my favorites, but I'll go with it.
I know, right?
Oh, that might be my least favorite episode of the season, actually, to be honest. But
So
hey,
here we have
I'll
the
go.
creature. Here we have the creature menacing Dr. Smith, who of course stumbles and runs away.
And then he thinks Will's passed away in the bog.
Right. What happens is Will runs. It's hard to catch it in the slides, everybody, but Will runs and falls and disappears into the bog. And at this
Really, he
point, Doctor.
disappears. He becomes invisible for absolutely no reason.
Well,
That's
what's interesting is
yeah.
when Will, and I don't know the law. I'm explaining the logic because I don't understand myself. But apparently, according to the logic of this episode, Will falls into the bog, becomes invisible, and when he becomes invisible, the creature becomes visible. So they take
Yeah,
turn. They switch.
yeah, exactly. There was a connection there because I remember at the end of this sequence when the creature turns invisible again, that's when Will becomes visible
Wah,
again,
wah.
right?
Yes. And don't ask me
So,
why.
I mean,
I
yeah,
don't have a
exactly.
description for that.
I have no explanation, but to me, that's pretty much what happened, right? So, but yeah,
I can't see myself. Is someone there?
that's another plot hole, right? There's a few big ones in this episode that do bug me, but I was still having fun, to be honest. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I
Maybe
still enjoyed it.
maybe I'm an easy date. I don't know. But it was fun. I like this episode.
So we have again they're approached, and that's why the robot is knocked without power again. And they're wondering where Will is. Doctor, sorry, go ahead, Willa.
I was going to say, this is where my automatic F comes in.
All right, tell us about it.
Uh-oh.
All right. You got Dr. Smith purposely led Will Robinson into danger by bringing him into the bog there.
He usually does.
And the person and I know this is because of censors and all that, but this is where Mama Bear should have came out, and I will show no mercy. If Dr. Smith will have led my son into danger like that and let him out to the bog, and all of a sudden my kid disappears, I guarantee you I would not be merciful. And
Right, but you could tell by her. You could tell by the way she's acting that she's extremely upset, but
What?
she's
It's
keeping it
just that
contained.
Maureen is always giving Dr. Smith chance after chance, and all she is showing is that how very disappointed she is. But I agree. I would have accepted a little bit of violence here.
Well,
In reality, they all would have jumped on him and started pummeling him and say, "Where is he?" Right?
well, this is my thought on the scene. It's like family hour stuff, right? And watching her performance, which I think is excellent, because you can see the anger, the extreme anger in her eyes and in her facial expression. I was thinking, what this scene really needed to finish it off was a good hard slap in the face that she delivered to Smith, right? Trouble
I did not see that. She did not slap. But I would have been somewhat happy if they would have given me that.
It would have
They
made
gave me nothing.
it would have made the scene great though if she actually could have slapped him hard in the face because he deserved it. But of course, being the CBS Family Hour stuff, it's like nope, and that would never be allowed by the censors. So she just basically, tells him off and walks away.
Yeah, but what would have worked with the censors is some kind of a little more deriding.
Hey, this would have been perfect for Family Hour. You want to mess with my kids? This is what happens. There you go, family hour.
It was different back in the 60s, Gorilla.
Yeah.
I agree. Times have changed, haven't they?
I really wish she could have slapped him, though, because that would have been a perfect conclusion to that scene.
So here's where we have that Dr. Smith thinks that Will is gone permanently, which we know, of course, according to the show, he's probably not. So they decide to go. They're going to go out and look for Will.
And then the creature disappears because of the sunrise, and Will comes back.
Right.
So
the sun comes up.
Yeah, obviously connection between the two. Yeah.
Right. Well, to be precise, what's going on here is Will is trying to escape the creature. The creature knows that Will is there, but the creature can't see Will, so it's grasping around trying to grab him, unable to. Then the sun comes up. Creature sees the sun, tries to cover its face, similar to like a vampire, I'm guessing. And then the creature disappears.
I totally thought vampire during this episode too, Bob.
Right. And then the creature, they don't explain to us, does the creature become invisible or does it disappear?
Exactly. Oh, that's in my review.
That's my
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, but that is my biggest problem with this episode.
Gee, Jill, we have something in common here, because that was the one thing that really bugged me about this episode is the creature disappears and I guess never to be seen again, because at the end of the episode they're all catching fish or whatever, and I'm like, well, where did the creature go? How come the creature won't come back? It's like, what? I have nothing but questions, and they'll never be answered, I guess.
Right.
So yeah, that really annoyed me.
And not only that is that we really don't know what's going on with this creature. Nobody does. Like it's where we're left off at the end of this episode. For all we know, it's coming back and harassing them every night because it wasn't resolved.
Exactly.
Yes.
That really bugged me. I got to say that really bugged me. And it's like, why does the creature just like to slap Dawn and Professor Robinson around and whoever's handy, give them some good fisticuffs and slap them around, but it doesn't actually do them any real harm, right?
It's just there to menace. It's there to menace. That's all. I'm using that as a verb.
But I'm thinking, okay, what's this creature's motivation? And I for the life of me,
guys,
I can't find any.
Maybe it's mad because they woke him up out of the bog.
That's probably it. He should slap Smith around them.
As scary as it looked, it wasn't as violent as it could have been. So there had to have been something to it. But what? Yes, I have no clue.
It looked terrifying, but it didn't.
Well, remember, it did slap Smith once outside the Jupiter too. So it did get one good whack in.
Right, and it just threw a rock at his head.
If that helps me, right? If that helps you guys feel any better.
But yeah, this is a weird episode. Actually, this probably gets my vote for the weirdest episode of season 1
so far. Yes,
it's pretty weird.
So here's where Dr. Smith is coming to terms, thinking that Will is dead, and then Will appears. Of course, Dr. Smith doesn't at first think that he's real. He thinks that he's a ghost or a figment of his imagination. They don't really make it clear. And then once he touches Will and realizes that it is Will, he's happy and overjoyed, and he's glad that Will is back. And obviously because it saved his own skin as well.
I did like that scene, though, when he thought Will was dead, and then he realizes Will's not dead. And, it's like he really was overjoyed to see Will. And
he does care about Will.
Yeah, yes. For once they humanize Smith a little bit and give him a bit of a decent soul and heart. And I kind of really enjoyed that scene because, once again, it's adding another dimension. We know Smith might be a self-serving, evil, guy, but he does have his moments when he can actually be a decent human being, occasionally, right? So.
Well, and this has come up before where he's cited Will as the person that he gets along with the most, that can actually give him company that's valuable, and he can play chess.
Yeah.
And stuff.
They definitely had a camaraderie. It's like an uncle and a nephew kind of thing.
It's basically because Will's the only one who puts up with him.
Well, Will doesn't just put up with him. though, Jill. She actually seems to enjoy Smith's company.
Oh no, because he believes in everybody and he wants to see the best in everyone, and so I
Yeah.
guess putting up is what I would feel. But he just sees something.
Will
I don't know
is
what he sees in Smith, but he does.
me neither, but I guess Will is a little optimist at heart, is he not? Basically,
Mhm.
I like this scene.
And Smith has to appreciate that.
Well, I think that's why Smith, enjoys Will's company so much, because Will's
This is my favorite part of the episode right here when it's over.
Well, that doesn't.
Aw.
Oh, this sounds ominous. I'm guessing. I think I'm guessing the person that gave this one an F in the chat. You didn't tell me you didn't give this an F. Really, it's not that
I
bad.
don't know what I forgot to do.
Anyway, I love this scene. I love it that the robot is fishing.
Yes.
Do you guys find this as hilarious?
Of course, and he's a good, and it makes sense that he's a really good robot. I mean, fisherman, because he knows the mechanical.
Exactly. He's got
gestures.
it analyzed. He's got it all analyzed, right? And if Smith had only listened to the robot, he would have caught a fish. But of course, being Smith, he never listens to anybody.
Yeah, it was good to get back to something simple like this. This is great. I love it.
Oh yeah, it was so relaxing. So relaxing. I did enjoy this too, Jill.
That's right. So what they're doing is they're fishing, and it looks like Dr. Smith caught a fish. So now they're establishing that this planet has fish that look just like the ones here on Earth. So aren't they lucky?
Yeah, isn't that convenient?
Yeah, definitely. They don't have eggs, but they got fish.
They don't have eggs, but they have fish. And Dr. Smith, of course, being overconfident, struggles with the fish, but unfortunately it breaks the line and gets loose, and he's frustrated.
So to that point, they might have fish eggs, so they could have caviar.
Oh, well, that's true.
No, let's go.
Only if they've got sturgeon, though, Jill.
All right.
Because you get caviar from sturgeon eggs, so.
Has anybody here eaten it before?
Never.
I smelled it once.
Chance.
Somebody offered me when I was in that 5th or 6th grade. I had a cooking class, and the teacher brought in someone crackers, and the smell alone, I was like, no, thank you.
Like salmon roe from sushi. Salmon roe is really good.
I guess it depends if you're a fish person or not. Like, I don't mind fish. I can enjoy, tuna and salmon and all that stuff. And I actually had lobster one time, dipped in butter, and it was delicious. But I know some people don't like seafood.
Yeah, the salmon nigiri, the eggs, they're really fun to eat because they squish in your mouth.
Ooh. Do you like oysters and you like oysters and clams too, Jill?
I've never tried a clam before. Oysters are too rubbery from the ones I've had.
Oysters, it depends on how it cooks. But I'm still wondering who's the first person to crack open an oyster and go, hey, that huge piece of snot in the middle there looks delicious.
That's what. It looks nasty.
No, I was thinking of octopus that's rubbery. I love oysters. Oysters are awesome.
Hey, Jill.
Do you eat them raw, or do they cook them or steam them, or how's that done?
Well, I don't cook them. I put lemon juice and Tabasco on them, and I eat them raw.
Yeah, you have to swallow them whole without chewing. Is that right?
What?
I use a cracker, so I do chew them.
Okay, gotcha.
Hey, Jill, it just depends where you get them. If you get them right on the coast there, and get someone who knows how to cook calamari, oh man, it's delicious. But once you get it away from the coast there, then get someone who doesn't know how to cook it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I agree, girl. Calamari, if it's fresh and well prepared, is incredibly good.
Yeah, calamari does. If it's rubbery, it's no good.
Well, that's I made the mistake once of buying like frozen calamari at the supermarket, and it was like eating rubber. Yeah, it was horrible. But I had it fresh at a restaurant in Vancouver when I was at art school years ago, and oh my God, it was delicious, delicious, delicious. Fresh. Caught, well prepared calamari is totally excellent for sure.
Well, I'm still disturbed by people just swallowing oysters whole. Why would they do that? That skips the entire flavor profile of the meal.
I don't know. Some people, that's kind of like a traditional thing, though, that has been circulating, like as as a urban
Well,
myth
it's a
or whatever.
tradition. That's why, because it's something you don't have to follow. So
But
that's good to hear.
That's what they always say, right? It's like, oh, people swallow them whole. And it's like, well, whatever.
This is the best part of the episode right here.
Here, let's catch up on chat while we're waiting for Doctor.
Okay, yeah,
Or
that sounds
while we're
like
waiting for Pop.
good plan.
Or where were we?
Da-da-da,
Kirk says,
da-da-da.
"It's a hard knock life." Sorry, wrong show, wrong song.
For us.
Scurvy says, Dr. Smith knows how to talk to chicks. Shh, you will ruin everything.
And I'm back.
Yeah, Dr. Smith is really lucky with how patient Maureen is with him.
Yeah. Boomer here says, wasted good garlic, tossing it into a pit. And Herc says, Sci-Fi could use that garlic in its next food video. I was thinking exactly that. It's fair to make my world-famous pasta sauce. It takes a minimum of 3 days to prepare. Yeah, that's too long.
Ooh, I love some pasta.
Well, then, Boomer, if it takes 3 days, you're gonna have to send me a jar so I know why it'd be worth making it for 3 days. But
that's what true Italians do. They say the longer you cook it, the better it is.
You gotta stick around to stir it. You can't just leave it there.
There's no way I'm staying up for 3 days stirring something, because I probably would collapse and pass out after.
I might be exaggerating. I've seen things on TV.
Yeah,
you have to have a large family, people taking shifts, I'm guessing.
Exactly. If I could get somebody to take shifts, I'd be okay with it. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't have the patience for that.
I couldn't wait 3 days to cook something. Yeah, I'm with you, Gorilla.
I've done a whole day. I've done a whole day, but not 3 days.
Yeah. And Scurvy says, I love seafood. The lemon and the Tabasco, not only for taste, they kill harmful bacteria.
Yes, thank you, Lemon Pie. That's exactly why I said I put lemon in Tabasco. I don't cook them, but that is what makes the oyster safe to eat.
Oh.
Jill, have you ever tried? Jill, you mentioned Tabasco sauce. Have you ever tried tapatio?
Tapatio? Is that just kind of salsa, like a liquidy salsa, right?
No, it's a hot sauce, not a salsa, similar to Tabasco. Right. The difference is I like tapatio. I prefer it. It has more of a chili flavor rather than a vinegar flavor. If you look at the ingredients, it doesn't start off with the word vinegar.
Yeah. And,
so I recommend it. Look for it at the stores. I think give it a try.
Yeah, they have that at HEB, at my grocery store, and and a lot of Mexican restaurants have a variation on that type of hot sauce at their restaurants.
Chololo is another one, right? Which is not very good. It's like watered down version, but I recommend Tapatio if you haven't tried it. Sorry, go ahead, Gorilla.
Yeah, Herc's puking here for some reason.
Sorry about that. Probably talking about the oysters and the clams.
Well, some people don't like seafood. No, that's okay.
Yeah, Peter Notfinity said unsubscribed.
I'm sorry, Peter.
That's
I don't know what else to say. Like I said, there's nothing intentional.
Yeah, because I'm going to bed here 12 minutes whether we're done or not. So
yeah,
I know. That's why.
Just about 9 o'clock Pacific time. So yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah, Tiki said, it's getting to be 11 o'clock here. Tiki says hello and waving. Welcome, Tiki. Welcome. We're just finishing up.
Hello, Tiki. Yeah, sorry, Tiki. We're just closing up, but thank you for coming in.
All those different kinds of hot sauces, I've seen all of them, and so the names all get mixed up for me.
Try a small bottle first, see if you like it.
Well, no, I do like this type of hot sauce, but I would have to get the different variations to see which ones I like the most. Yeah, because mostly I just encounter them at the Mexican restaurant.
Okay, that makes sense.
Hey, Jill, you could buy a whole bunch of variety of them and then do a taste test on your channel.
That's more like a challenge, I guess, right? More like a challenge.
Just a little change up from the usual sci-fi, right?
I don't know. I'll ponder upon it. I'd have to make it a little more than that, but I'll get back to you.
Yeah. Here, Boomer says, my mom used to let it simmer on the stove for a couple days. Tapatio is really good.
Because I love spicy stuff, so maybe I can get some really spicy stuff.
That's good. And Tiki
Yeah.
says, "Yo, potato is good." So is Shula. There.
Yeah, Pat. It's Tapatio, but yes.
Yeah, here is Captain Finity's channel.
Check out Captain Vinity's channel. I know he's upset at me and he may have unsubbed, but he's still my friend, and I'm still going to be a sub on his channel. I'm always loyal.
Yeah, and Sean says Tapashio.
Right, he's
Okay.
got some good theories on stuff that's fun to
All right.
listen to.
Yes, he's
All
very
right.
entertaining and very intelligent.
All right, let's finish her up.
All right, so we're going to cover our reviews and what we think of each episode, and then I'm going to remember as a reminder, everybody, there's a poll in the chat. If you feel up to it, feel free to vote in the poll on what rating you would. You can either give us your opinion on the episode itself or on our review of the episode, depending on your opinion. But there is a poll. Hopefully, God willing, it's still there. We're going to give the reviews of each of our panelists, and then we're going to cover the results of the poll in the chat and give everyone a voice.
I'd just like to mention the continue next week still that Jill has here. That's one episode I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, me too.
Do any of you guys recognize who that robot is?
Robbie the robot, of course.
Yes.
From Forbidden Planet.
Exactly.
Yes, and I think even better, I think it's the same guy doing the voice.
Oh, cool. I never realized that. But
Radical.
Yeah, that's a good one next week. What is it?
One of my favorites. Right, I would say in my top 3 favorites out of all 3 seasons, I would say. So definitely, everybody, do not miss next week's episode.
Yeah, so we have a very famous non-human guest star next week.
Got his own IMDb page. He is a real actor.
Yes, and we will cover we'll cover
Cool.
more. We'll cover more on the creator, designer, and the history of Robbie the Robot next week when we cover that episode.
Well, that'll be great. That'll be great fun. Awesome.
Okay, so if I can do this right without messing it up here, and of course, I'm going to go and hide this because it won't let me Biggie PvP. There, now I can do it. Thank you, Gorilla.
I didn't do nothing.
All right.
Oh, no, that was me.
Jill, thank you. Yeah, because my little timer that says live at the top wouldn't let me select to enlarge in PvP, so I appreciate
I knew it was time, but I'm really glad that PvP mentioned Robbie because I didn't want to end the review without that. So thank you, PvP.
That's our little teaser,
Jill.
everybody.
You're very welcome.
Right, that's our little teaser. You've got to be here, everybody, for next week because it's going to be a really good episode. You won't be disappointed.
If you're a fan of Forbidden Planet, you have to watch next week's episode, definitely.
And if you're not, still watch it anyway. I highly recommend it. I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's nice to. Well, I guess it's one of the first episodes where our B9, robot gets to have a major role in the episode. Does he not? Like, wow.
Yes, he does, and we'll discover how much he really does care about the Robinson family.
Yeah.
So how would you rate this PvP?
Lovely.
Well, it's probably going to shock Jill. I hope it doesn't make her too sad, but
no, it's fine.
I really enjoyed this episode in spite of all its flaws and plot holes, which there were several huge ones you could drive a bus through. But I gave it an A- because in spite of it being kind of crazy and silly at times, it was very entertaining, and I love the special effects. Like, I thought the practical effects were great, and the atmospherics, like the atmosphere in this, like the second half when Professor Robinson and Dawn take their laser rifles and they're going out, hunting this thing down, trying to figure out what's going on. And it was just like some great, blasts with the laser rifles and, stuff flying through the air, the floating Ouija board, Penny getting a great scene where she actually got to do some acting for a couple of minutes, for a change. Smith going bananas and crazy and suddenly turning into some kind of superstitious idiot for no reason, but that kind of made me laugh. And I just like this one. And the creature, like, let's face it, I think season 1's creatures of Lost in Space are the best creatures of Lost in Space. And I gotta say, the guys that put this, because we're thinking like they're cranking out these, once a week, right? And whoever the guys were building this suit, I'm like, wow, I'm totally impressed because this thing was hideous. It was frightening. It even scared me at my age. And I'm thinking, I bet this gave many, many children nightmares back in the 60s. And so, yeah, I had total fun with this one. I probably overrated it. It's probably more like maybe a B minus than an A minus. But I just had such a good time. I just thought, oh, what the hell? I'll be generous and give it a high rating because yeah, it was just a good, fun episode. And the thing is, I usually don't like Peter Packer episodes. Often they bore me. Well, there was that one great one you mentioned earlier, Pop, about Will going back to Earth. That was an awesome episode. But overall, I find his episodes kind of mediocre. But this one was so crazy and out of left field that I actually did enjoy it, which is probably why I rate it. Probably why I overrate it. And anyway, yeah, I guess that's pretty much my review.
Very cool. Thank you. Would you like to share anything about your channel?
Basically, I'm still working on rock and roll playlists, which I haven't been doing as much lately because I just haven't put as much time into it. But one of these days, actually, I think there's the holiday weekend coming up next Monday, isn't there? Labor Day. So I should have like a 4-day weekend coming up this weekend, which hopefully will give me a little bit of time to work on my playlists and maybe I'll finally get something posted publicly. So that'll be fun.
Very cool.
Anyway, that's about it.
Thank you. And I'm getting my slides ready here. So Gorilla, tell us what's your rating. What would you say about this episode? And then tell us about your channel.
Well, I was getting lost and I was really bored with this episode. Like, I was getting to the point where I didn't even want to pay attention to it. Dr. Smith did not act anything like to himself. He acted like he's a part of the occult or something, and he's being the Satanist. They're believing in the orgy.
Orgy?
What did I say?
Orgy?
No, I didn't say orgy.
I don't know. No. Was I imagining things, our guys, or did he say orgy?
I think he did. I think Gorilla might be getting a little sleepy.
Yeah, I'm a little tired. It's okay, Gorilla.
He was trying to say Ouija board.
Yes, he was.
Oh, that's it. Yeah,
I'm just teasing you, Gorilla.
I'm trying to picture Lost in Space orgy, and it's not. It's kind of a disturbing scene I'm having in my head right now.
well, it involves cyclopses.
Oh my good Lord.
Would be from Alabama. Oops.
Oh my goodness.
Oops,
that's
sorry,
too funny, man.
Did I say that too loud?
Sorry, that's okay. Okay, Gorilla, go ahead. Go ahead and continue, Gorilla.
But anyhow, the part that pissed me off the most is the scene almost seemed kind of unnecessary. You could tell that the script was a product of too many people mess with it. I'd like to have seen the original version of this, actually. But you had five rewrites, and that's not a good sign for an episode there. But the purposely lead, they have Dr. Smith purposely lead Will into danger there, and the only repercussion was Maureen, who just wagged his finger and go, "Oh, Dr. Smith, I'm disappointed in you." I know this is a sense of the 1960s, a different culture, but I think that would be completely acceptable even on 60s TV, because I'm pretty sure I've seen a few slaps on 60s TV there.
No, we covered this before. It's a time period. Remember, this is family hour.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's the problem. If it had been like the later hour, like Star Trek, you very well could have got a slap.
Yeah,
I think
an hour later, but in the schedule, this was family hour. They're not going to show.
Well, yeah, that was the funniest thing. Last week, you said, "Oh, they don't say shut up because this is the time slot they're in, and they don't use that kind of language." And then the very next day, we reviewed a Star Trek episode in which McCoy says, "Shut up, Spock, we're rescuing you."
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was all about the time zone, right? So yeah.
So you can blame the F and the pull for me. Me this time.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, did you really give it an F?
Yes.
Oh
All
my
right.
God!
That's
Now we
okay.
know who the, now we know
That's
who
okay.
gave it the F.
That's fine. Tell us about your channel, Gorilla.
Well, I've been kind of lazy on my shorts lately, but I keep saying I'm gonna try to get some more shorts out there. But anyhow, I do 3 watch parties a week. We do Justifies on Wednesday. There, we are on season 5 of Babylon 5. There, then we're gonna go to the movies, then to the Crusade, the Crusade show. There, that's a spinoff. And then on Cinema Sundays, we're gonna be starting our Robin Williams month, and we're gonna be starting that with
Oh
Dead
man.
Poet Society. So, yeah,
Very
we're doing
cool.
Dead. Yeah, Jill, you might enjoy that one if you want to join us on Sunday.
Dead
I
Poet?
do like Robin Williams, so I'll think about it.
I've never seen.
Let me
Dead
know the
Poet.
times.
7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, then 7 o'clock. Your
When?
time.
What day?
Sunday. The Sunday is 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Central Time.
7 Central, so that's 7 your time, I guess.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, me and Jill are in the same time zone. Then,
Yeah, y'all try and pop in because I have actually never seen Dead Poet Society, and I keep hearing it's a great film. So
it's my favorite. It's my favorite Robin Williams film.
yeah, I'll try to pop in if I can, and probably a good chance I should be able to pop on actually. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Great.
Yeah, then on Friday we do reviews of the Waltons there, and I don't know when the next cringe stock will be, but it will be, it will be Frankenhooker.
One of my favorites.
Looking forward to it. No, another one I've never seen. So
all right, and I'll be covering that on our horror sci-fi stream one of these days. But I've got to do. That's made by Frank Henenlotter, and I've got to do his previous movie Basket Case before we get to that.
I just gotta say, girl, I hope Frankenhooker's a lot more awful than the Sausage Fest, because Sausage Fest actually wasn't that bad at all.
I think it's a very enjoyable movie.
I like Sausage Fest. It was silly, it was goofy, it was dumb, but it was fun. Anyway.
Very cool. Jill,
I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah.
Okay,
Jill,
so
how would you rate it? And tell us about your channel.
Man, okay, so I try to enjoy these episodes, and I do every time, except today. I gave it as high of a rating as I could. I gave it a D+. We spend the entire time not knowing anything about this creature whatsoever, just Dr. Smith thinking it's a spirit, and of course, like others have said, when did Dr. Smith become so mystical? Anyway, like this character trait comes out of the blue. But even if I were to accept it, why does he think his uncle traversed light years just to haunt him? Like, was he there with him while he was trying to sabotage the Jupiter 2? And he was like, "Dear, that Uncle Thaddeus, please help me in my mission to destroy the Jupiter 2."
What she said. Add that to mine.
Joe, did you say a D+ or a B+?
A D+. D+.
That's fine. Totally acceptable. That's why I love honest opinion.
That's fine. Better to be honest. Always best to be honest. But,
sorry. It's as if
the
creatures...
No, don't apologize. Don't apologize. That's what we're here for.
No, don't apologize.
Right, of course. Well, I'll always be honest.
I respect your opinion, Jill. It's just like it seems a little low. Like maybe you could have gone.
Well, it's like the spirit of Irwin. He wants to make a serious science fiction show, and everyone keeps pushing him to the comedy, and he kind of just like, okay, fine, let's do the comedy. And I'm fine with some comedy, but when it's at the expense of actually giving us some kind of logical explanations for some certain things, then it kind of goes down the hill. Like you said, they're not just plot holes. The entire episode is a plot hole. The creature is only invisible.
Well,
Sorry.
Jill, I want to say welcome to the dark
Jill,
side.
Oh, that's so funny, Jill. You just made me laugh my ass off.
Yeah. Welcome to the
Go ahead,
dark
Jill.
side.
Go ahead,
We,
Jill.
we are
God.
we aren't given any hint as to why or what the rules for him being invisible are, or why him being invisible makes Will visible, or back and forth, like they're tied cosmically together for some reason. And now this creature is somehow going to be Will's best friend. I don't know. And like you guys said earlier, you don't know if he's going invisible or he's teleporting because the sound effect makes that unclear. The special effects make it unclear. And so, also, why do so many creatures live underground on this planet, but we never get to see their homes?
Well, that's
Oh,
because
that's true. Except for Mr. Nobody.
Oh, that's true. Well, he was in a cave, but yes, fair
Yeah.
enough.
yeah.
Well, Mr. Nobody wasn't actually an alien of the planet, though. I think he was just a visitor.
Well, Mr. Nobody was an awesome episode, you guys. You're bringing it back to something good.
Oh, I love that one.
Oh,
That's an
All right.
A+ episode.
we
for
don't
sure.
want
That's-
we don't mean to bring down the episode of My Friend Mr. Nobody.
Mr.
No,
Nobody,
Mr. Nobody's great.
Well,
That's
Jill,
my-
the reason.
probably favorite episode of the whole series, actually.
Yeah. Well, Jill, the reason that everybody lives underground is because of the extreme climate change. And the
You know what?
atmosphere.
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
Well, I
that's
think
what
he-
I hope makes sense.
I think the creature lived underground because he didn't like sunlight, right?
Yeah, and the entrance to his ground was under the bog, and the only name we have for him is Uncle Thaddeus. Everything
Uncle
about
Thaddeus.
it remains as mysterious at the end of the episode as it was at the beginning, except that we know he looks like a pile of seaweed.
With one eye.
Very, very, very ugly seaweed to be sure.
Yeah, and they say he could feed off of energy, but this aspect is never really seemed to go anywhere or reflect back upon anything at all of any consequence.
Wait, I got a question then. If that thing feeds off of energy, wouldn't you want to be out in the daylight there, where you get the ultimate source of energy, the sun, or from their star, whatever they?
Hey, that's a good point. Yeah,
Yeah.
sunlight.
That's
Yeah, he loved the solar energy from the batteries.
That's why. That's the one thing I
Yeah.
forgot to bring up. That's a huge
But,
plot
but
hole.
remember,
That's a great
but
point.
in defense, and I believe me, I know this is going to be crazy, depending on crazy episode with so many plot holes. But remember that there's very many spectrums of light. So it could be that yes, he gets energy from the sun or solar, but there might be a certain spectrum of the light that from the sun that it harms him. If that makes any sense. There's
That's fair
infrared,
enough.
there's gamma rays,
That's-
there's all sorts of spectrums of
Yeah.
light.
Excellent point, actually.
That's definitely arguable by people who, like you, who thought more about this episode than
Right.
I think that they put in the thought that they put into this creature.
That's trying to make sense out of senseless. I'm
that's
sorry.
Mm-hmm. It's a very good attempt. Admirable.
That's a good point. It actually makes sense, probably much more than the episode pop.
So
Yeah, it's probably more than they thought of. Go ahead,
So
Jill.
my favorite part of the episode that saves it from an F was the robot. I enjoyed his noises when he loses power, regains power. That is just like he's trying to put more personality in his character, and I enjoy it. And
All right, for that
I'm
bring it up
excited for Robbie.
All right, for that I'll bring my score up to 5 more %, but it's still an F.
Okay, gotcha. Now it's only a 95% F instead of a 100% F.
After listening to Jill's review, can I move mine down to a C?
Sure.
Oh, you don't have to do that. No, you can keep it as an A because it gave you so much joy. And I think part of it is if it gives you that much joy, then that can overcome some of the logical aspects to it. If I had more joy in this episode, I would have brought it up to a B myself. But I didn't.
Okay. Yeah,
So
I'll
if
leave
anything, yeah, leave it.
I'll leave it then because the thing is, Jill, I totally realized watching this it was totally ridiculous, stupid, silly, mind-numbingly, inconsistent, illogical. It just basically the episode made no damn sense. But I love the special effects. I love the practical effects whenever they were throwing stuff around. I love the monster, costume, and I just had fun. And it's just like.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? A lot of time the fun factor can bring up the score, and it's done that for me for Star Trek many times.
I knew it was total crap, but I enjoyed it. That's pretty much all I can say, right? If that makes any sense at all.
Hmm. For sure, and
Cool.
that's valid.
Well, it's like Spock's brain, right? I mean, I think Spock's brain's, pretty much garbage, but I love it because it's so
Mm,
much fun.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
got
I
a little bit
have a
of
lot of
cheese.
fun.
It's got
It
a little
has
cheese, but that helps it
it,
taste better.
exactly. Yeah. No, who doesn't love brain surgery? I think it's great.
Especially brain surgery when your surgeon is forgetting what he's doing halfway through the surgery.
Very cool. And Jill, tell us about your channel.
Yes, I have a channel. I'm Antiderivative Jill, and my channel is of the same name where I celebrate all the science fiction that I can. And I will continue that tomorrow at noon, where I'm going to review the next Star Trek episode in original production order. And it's going to be a piece of the action. So as soon as we're done
Yes,
here, I'm going to go watch that immediately.
Oh.
me too. I can't wait. I love it.
Yeah, I can't wait
Speaking of
either.
comedy, right? There's that.
Exactly. And oh man, this is going to be a good one.
Well, the thing is about Piece of the Action, it's comedy well done, right? As opposed to the one we watched tonight.
Yes. But thank you, Jill.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Oh
that.
no, but the robot playing guitar, that was good too.
And also, there's other things you do on your stream as well, Jill.
That's right. Yeah, on Friday I have a show. I have a family reunion this weekend, so I might just do a shore leave on Friday. But if I feel like reviewing something, I'll do a UFO and maybe talk to Tony about gravity, artificial gravity. But I'm not sure yet.
Jill, I just want to ask if you do decide to do a UFO,
Hmm.
can you please like maybe post it a day or two before so I can actually watch the episode? Because I'm probably not working at all on Friday, and I should be able to pop on if I know the episode. So
Oh, sure.
that'd be great. And if it's a short leave, that would be awesome too. Because I always love these short leaves because then we can just ramble on, which I'm very good at doing that, right, Jill?
You are an expert at continuing on. This is
Oh
true.
my
I think
God,
everybody
yeah.
knows.
Yes, it's kind of sad, really, but that's just my nature, I guess.
All right.
Well, I don't
Now,
have to worry about any dead space with you.
Oh, that's good.
I'm
Thank you. That's a nice compliment.
okay, and I'm going to give this episode a B. It's not perfect, but I love it because, like I said, it really appealed to me as a kid. Yes, it had plot holes, but this is Lost in Space. I don't expect perfection. I know it's not Star Trek. I know it's not cerebral, and it's not supposed to be extremely thought provoking. As a reminder, everybody, this was a family hour. Yes, there was a lot of comedy, and yeah, there were mistakes made, and there were some questions that were not asked. I don't usually try to judge. I'm just trying to word this correctly. When there's a scene that's I don't disagree with the way it was shot, I usually don't try to say, well, here's how I would do it because it's pointless. But I do want to iterate that the scene where in scene 3 at the end, where the monster, which leaves us, which we discussed previously, wondering did the creature go invisible or did it disappear, and how Jill brought up that they used with the sound effect, and that it just disappeared, that it sounded like it transported. And my point of this sounds like a ramble, but my point of what I'm saying is, if I would have shot it differently, if I would have been there back in the day, I would have done similar to like Nosferatu did in 1922, and that is instead of having the creature disappear with the teleporting effect, I would have used a smoke effect, which I think would have given us as the audience a little more um, reason to believe that maybe it was destroyed by the sun, because that's how Nosferatu in the original 1922 version was. He sees the sun through the window, and then there's a puff of smoke, and he disappears. It would have been nice if they would have added that. I think it might have helped to resolve in our minds what happened to him, rather than him just taking place with Will, which I'm guessing is the plot of why they take turns being invisible. But like I said earlier, that's trying to make sense of senseless. But that's the best way my mind can try to wrap it around and make sense out of it. I
No,
like
that
the
would be
humor.
good.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it would have. Go
That
ahead.
would have been much better if they'd had the smoke effect to basically tell us the monster was destroyed by the sun. Because I'm guessing he must have been destroyed because he doesn't come back at the end of the episode or in any other episodes. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe the monster had so many exposures to the sun. Maybe he was okay once, maybe he was okay twice, but the third time the sun hit him, he was like done for, right?
Well, because of what they implied, which this is in between the lines, it was never on camera. But every time the sun was coming up, it disappeared before the sun came up or at dawn. But I'm guessing at the end of this episode, it was caught in the full rays of the sun, and it was too late for him to escape it, and
Oh,
that's what destroyed it.
so like a space vampire, he was dead.
Yeah, kind of like a vampire, but it would have helped if they had a smoke effect, I think, in my opinion. But like I said,
I
I can't
agree.
change. I
I
can't
do
change
agree.
time and history.
Yeah, that would have worked much better.
And I know it's crazy that Dr. Smith was a little too flexible with the occult, but for me, it's hard to describe this because I really liked it as a kid. But of course, as an adult now and seeing it through different eyes, I have a completely different opinion. It's very silly. But I like the fact that a lot of the cast gets to shine because, as we've seen in previous episodes and we'll see in future episodes, there's some times where we see very little of the extra of the cast and they don't really get a chance to get much screen time. So that is a crazy justification for giving it a B. But I do appreciate, and like Jill said, it has one of the best cliffhangers of the series because we get to see a preview of Robbie the Robot, who's going to be in next week's episode. And tomorrow on our stream, I had a poll, and everybody seemed to, not everybody, but it seemed like the majority seemed to vote for the original Night of the Living Dead, 1968. If you're a fan of horror and or sci-fi, please try to join us tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific time, where we will cover that fantastic movie and as much behind-the-scenes info as I can dig up. It's one of my favorites, and I can't wait to cover the entire series. But we will start off with the original George Romero, Night of the Living Dead. And then Wednesday, Gorilla's Random Thoughts and myself, where we will continue with season 2 of Gilligan's Island with 2 more fantastic episodes. And I really appreciate you guys joining us here tonight. I hope my explanation of my review for the episode made some sense.
It did.
It's hard to do
Very
that.
good.
No, it was great, great pop. Like, I think you and I had similar thoughts about it. It's like it was an extremely flawed episode with so many, some really major plot holes, and it's definitely far from perfect. The sad thing is though, it's like what Peter Packer wrote like a couple of treatments, and then they tried to like polish it with another 2 or 3 rewrites, and it still didn't really work because the basic concept was so bad, right? But in spite of it being really bad as a concept and the way it was written, there was still something about it I enjoyed. And as I say, I think it came down to the special effects and the practical effects guys that kind of pulled it a little bit out of the fire for me. So, but yeah. By the way, I will probably 99% be on the Night of the Living Dead stream tomorrow. But I work till
Cool.
7. I work till 7, so I'll probably be just a little over an hour late. But I should be able to make it, unless some catastrophic things happens. But I'm not anticipating that. So yeah, I'll definitely join in tomorrow night because I
All
love
right.
I love that film, and I'll try and be there.
Well, you're definitely welcome. Here we
Thank
have a behind-the-scenes shot
you.
where it looks like
Ooh,
they're celebrating perhaps somebody's birthday. And it says Director Don
wow.
Richardson joins Lost in Space. Don Richardson, the director of this episode, third from the left, standing next to Jonathan Harris, with his arm around Jonathan Harris. Richardson would direct more episodes than anyone else, but it would be a love-hate relationship.
Really? Oh, interesting.
So we have that one, and then I have another one I'd like to share with you guys. Bear with me here. And here's another behind-the-scenes shot of the monster, well lit, and obviously the camera zoomed out. You can see the lights in the studio in the backdrop.
Oh yeah.
But it gives us a little more look at the character, and like PvP mentioned earlier, I think it's a great design. A lot of detail on the monster, and I'm sure the monster probably did appearances on Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea and other shows as well. But I
Yeah,
think it was rated for this one first.
Yeah, Irwin did have
It
a
makes
habit.
sense in Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
Well, Irwin did.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, good one, Jill. he looks
All right,
aquatic, doesn't he?
Yes.
all right, guys. I gotta head out.
Irwin did reuse monsters occasionally. Yeah.
Oh, good night, Gorilla.
Yeah, I gotta sleep. I gotta get up early for work.
I know, Gorilla, and I
Yeah.
apologize.
Right,
I
Gorilla.
apologize for how late this has been going on. I'm sorry.
No,
about
you're
that, Gorilla.
fine. You're fine. There. I just gotta get some sleep there.
Yeah.
So.
Have a good one, man. Have a good sleep, man.
Absolutely. And good night, Gorilla. And as a reminder, everybody, I hope you vote in the poll. I'm going to go ahead and end it now. I know I'm going to wrap this up. It's late. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll and then share the results with everyone. I'll try to get through this as quick as possible. And then we'll do our trailer teaser for next week's episode.
Sounds good.
In that order, if I can do this right without messing it up again. There we go. Okay, it looks like we got a total of 19 votes. What grade would you give Ghost in Space? And it looks like
this one was very divisive, I gotta say. It
looks like the majority liked it, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, but the thing is, do you remember an episode where we ever got votes on all 4 categories from A to F?
It happens. Yeah, we've had it before. It's a little more evened out now. It says 10% for D plus to F, so that may be more than one other than Gorilla may have given a D plus to an F.
I honestly guess
I gave it a D plus.
I must have missed it though, because I don't remember there ever being votes on all 4 categories, if you know what I mean. So,
which I like. I like the fact that we have this wider range of opinions.
I love it. I love it.
Yep, and they're very welcome. I love it. Honesty. So
exactly.
We have 63% gave it an A plus to an A minus, 15% B plus to B minus, 10% C plus to C minus, and 10% D plus to F minus. And like I said, that's a total of 19 votes. And thank you guys for sharing your votes and your opinions. And let's see, before we show the teaser, I'm going to wrap this up, but I don't want to forget the chat. Don't want to ever forget the chat. Because without the chat, we would be nothing. Sean Carter says, I'm more of a Cholula person, but being here in Texas, the amount of choices of hot sauces.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I mean. Like, I've seen so many different salsas and sauces. It's like, which is which, and which one do I like the most? I don't know.
Yes, and if you guys are wondering the difference, Cholula is the one that's got the wooden cork-looking top to it, rather than a plastic lid. And Tiki of Doom, thumbs up from Tiki of Doom. Thank you, Tiki of Doom. Sean Carter says, sorry, everyone, the grammar in my last show was horrible. Don't apologize, Sean. I make the same mistake all the time.
I make spelling mistakes all the time.
Exactly. That's what we're here for. Lemon Pie says, I like enough spice to light up my scalp.
Me too.
Sean Carter says, A plus for me. Like PvP said, just pure entertainment, good practical effects. A fun Halloween episode. I agree with Sean wholeheartedly. And Sean Carter also says, and kudos to Jonathan Harris. What a skill to play such a despicable person, and yet we feel sorry for him at times. Yes. 3-dimensional, not 2-dimensional, in my opinion. And Sean Carter says, hello, Lemon Pie. Hello, Kiki of Doom. And Sean Carter says, Lemon Pie just got home. Sorry I took so long to say hello. And Sean Carter says, Herc 130, hello, and prayers to you. And live long and prosper. Sean Carter says, the Phantom Boomer Explorers, greetings. And Sean Carter says, to Antiderivative Jill, make sure you brush up on your Fisbin rules.
Okay.
Must do, right?
Right.
Excuse me.
I do love the Fisbin stuff in Piece of the Action. That when Kirk just pulls that out of his ass, right? It's like, well, there's a game called Fisbin. It's like,
yes,
awesome.
And Andrew Jill says, if I review UFO or UFO, the episode will be Sub Smash at PvP.
Okay, thank you for telling me. I will make.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Lemon Pie says, no problem, Sean. And Lemon Pie says, bye, Gorilla. Yeah, Gorilla, have a great night. And Suzanne says, I made it back. Well, I'm sorry, Suzanne. I'm glad to see you back, but I'm getting ready to wrap it up, and everybody gave their votes. I hope you all had a good time tonight. Yes.
We're just about done, though.
Yeah, because I know it's late for a lot of people. It's like going on 11:30 for Jill.
Yeah, I got to hit the back.
Oh, is it really 11:30? It is. You're right. I thought it was 10. No kidding.
And yeah, sorry about that. That's why, once again, everybody, I apologize for having the closed panel tonight, but this is the reason why I was running a half hour late. So the blame is squarely on my shoulders. It was my fault.
Oh, it's totally fine.
No, it's not.
I'll have plenty of time to get what I need done.
I was running like 40 minutes late myself, and I think other people were, so it's not your fault, Pop. We were all...
Yeah, that's right. I was running late, too.
We were all late.
I know. I just feel bad about having the closed panel. I don't usually do that, and it's an exception, everyone.
Even Gorilla was late tonight. We were all basically late, so it's just one of those days. It happens, you know.
I will try to be on time, everybody, next week. Sean Carter says hi, Suzanne, and Suzanne says, that's fine, dear. You still need to rest, Pop. Yes. After I watch Piece of the Action, that is. And Suzanne says, Sean, hello. Sean Carter says, Pop, check out my community tab. I pointed the painted the figurines today for the precinct tubes. Oh, my goodness. And I was looking at those things are tiny. That must take some immense detail. Thank you, Sean. And a shout out to everybody to check out Sean's channel, The Sci-Fi Model Guy. And Lemon Pie says, still time for PvP to do laundry. There you go, PvP.
Not really. I got to eat something, and I got to get to bed in a couple hours. So no laundry tonight, bud.
No laundry tonight. Sorry.
I'm too tired. I'm exhausted. I started work at 10 a.m. this morning, so that's like almost 12 hours ago. So, yeah, I'm going to hit the sack in a couple hours for sure.
All right. And I wanted to thank everybody in the chat. It really means a lot to me, and you guys help cheer me up, make me feel better, and especially most of all to everybody on the panel. I appreciate all your time and your opinions, and you're watching the episode and enjoying it with us. And Jill, thank you once again for the fantastic slides.
Oh, of course, you're welcome. It's one of my favorite things to do. And the greatest things about these slides is that I put them all into a slideshow on my computer, so my Windows brings up all of these memories of my reviews and all the different cool episodes I watched. And
fantastic.
And it's great.
Your slides are fantastic, Jill. I don't think that we could do the show the same way without your awesome slides, because they really are great. We really do appreciate you.
Definitely right.
Thank you, PvP.
You're very welcome.
All right. And with that, I'm going to share. Please stay tuned, because this is an excellent teaser for next week's episode.
Awesome.
And I can't wait. I've been waiting for this.
Yes, and I repeat, please try to join us next week. You will not be disappointed. And like I said, please join us tomorrow on Jill's channel at probably, is it noon Central Time, Jill?
Yes, I'll be starting at noon, exactly.
Noon Central Time for a Piece of the Action from Star Trek, the original series. And then back on my channel tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Pacific, for the original 1968 Night of the Living Dead. And with that, peace out, everybody. Drive safe. And here's the teaser for next week's episode.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
He's activating.
You cannot hide from me like you do others.
Nothing can stop me.
I can stop you.
I don't like you and I don't trust you.
I owe no loyalty to these Earth people.
I will destroy you.